This man was reborn 1 month before the end of the world. He's currently stockpiling millions of pounds of pork in a secret spatial dimension. In his past life, he used a power no one could imagine to absolutely crush every other survivor. Eventually, he fell into despair in a world crawling with zombies, so he took his own life just to escape that hell. But surprisingly, he woke up having traveled back in time. Even his broken spatial power, which was like a literal cheat code, came back with him. Right now, a group of delivery guys is standing in front of him. Mr. Tran, all 100 orders of the fried chicken you wanted have been delivered. Mr. Tran, please check the items. We've also got the 100 roast ducks right here. And it wasn't just chicken and duck. Our protagonist had ordered a massive amount of supplies for the upcoming apocalypse. Tran Loc says, "All right, you guys can head out now. I trust you." Seeing the massive order, the delivery guys started whispering behind his back, "Is this guy starving to death or something? Why'd he order so much? I guess rich people are just built different. Personally, I think he's lost his mind." Haha. Tran Loc heard every word. But he didn't care. Next month, these idiots will see what's coming. Being surrounded by all this food, it's a pretty good feeling. After all, who would have thought that just 3 days ago, he was in the middle of the apocalypse, literally starving to death. Inside a dark, void-like space, empty duck crates were scattered around. That's right, in 27 days, a global pandemic will break out. Zombies will appear, and 80% of the human population will turn into monsters. Survivors will slowly die off, but a small portion of humanity will evolve and gain unique powers. Some have physical boosts, others control elements, or have mental powers. But our protagonist holds one of the rarest abilities of all. It's the power of space, and he was known as the Void King. Since he wields this spatial ability, Tran Loc's combat and defense skills are off the charts. Sadly, he was forced to live a lonely existence, eventually having to kill off every other survivor. In a world where everyone fought over scraps, Tran Loc was the only one left. It was so lonely that he eventually dug his own grave. Tran Loc just wanted to be free from that boring world. But when he opened his eyes again, he had been reborn. He returned to the world before the zombies took over, exactly 27 days before the apocalypse. Even though his energy and combat levels were gone, his spatial dimension from his past life was still there. Do you know what's the rarest thing during an apocalypse? Exactly, it's food and water. You can't survive without them. But the best part? Tran Loc can actually control time within his dimension. He basically has a pocket world under his control. Tran Loc is beyond excited. It's like the universe gave him one more shot at life. So there's no way he's going to waste it. Tran Loc immediately stashed all the food into his private dimension. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was a voice saying, "Tran Loc, get over here right now. We need to have a serious talk." After hanging up, Tran Loc muttered, "What's coming was always going to come. But uncle, this time, I won't be so naive." An hour later, Tran Loc arrived at the Tran Group headquarters. He saw his uncle sitting in his chair, immediately bombarding him with questions. "Why on earth did you sell off trillions in stocks? You didn't even say a word to me about such a massive move. Do you even respect me anymore, Tran Loc? If you're being threatened, or if you're in some kind of trouble, you can tell your uncle." Tran Loc rested his chin on his hand, thinking, this guy is quite the actor. If the apocalypse hadn't happened, I never would have heard his son bragging about their scheme. They caused my parents' deaths just to steal their shares. I probably would have been fooled for the rest of my life. Tran Loc finally spoke up. "No one is threatening me. I just have a gut feeling that the price of pork is going to skyrocket soon. I used trillions to stockpile it. We could sell it for tens or even hundreds of trillions. It'll be bigger than anything we ever imagined." The uncle thought to himself, "Is this kid actually stupid?" But he changed his tone and said, "Well, how about you sell the rest of your shares to me?" Tran Loc scratched his head. "Sorry about that. I already sold them to someone else. It looks like you won't be able to buy them back from that young master." The uncle was speechless. Tran Loc suddenly said, "I need to step out and take a call." The uncle faked a smile. "Go ahead." But as he watched Tran Loc leave, he thought, this brat actually had the nerve to go behind my back. I definitely need to teach him a lesson. Outside, Tran Loc answered a call from an unknown number. The person on the other end said, "Mr. Tran, about that request. We found a black dog in the countryside. It's missing an ear. I'll send you a photo to see if it's the one you're looking for." Tran Loc was thrilled. "I'll check it right now." After the apocalypse, bored people actually made a ranking for power users. For spatial powers, Tran Loc was obviously number 1. But the number 1 lightning user was actually a dog known as the Thunder King. During the apocalypse, creatures that don't turn into zombies can awaken powerful abilities. Tran Loc quickly checked the photo of this legendary lightning dog. He knew he needed strong allies for the coming war. His preparations were almost complete. The apocalypse was going to be Tran Loc's playground once again. In the end times, any creature that avoids the zombie virus has a chance to awaken incredible powers. Having a superpower sounds cool, but it's a total nightmare when you're a dog in the apocalypse with 0 food. Looking at that pup actually makes me hungry. Exactly as I expected. This poor little guy. In the apocalypse, Tran Loc was the only one who knew how to turn him into a meal, so he understands him better than anyone. Tran Loc stares at his phone, practically drooling. That scent is unmistakable. Yes, that is definitely him. That dog with the torn ear, it is definitely him. Tran Loc smiles at the screen and chuckles. Phap Vuong. Oh, Phap Vuong. In this life, I have plenty of food. How about we become best friends? I will make sure you are well fed and cozy every single day. Phap Vuong. In this life, I am definitely going to save you and make you recognize me as your master. 1 hour later, Tran Loc pulls up to a dog meat shop. Looking at his pitiful state right now, you would never guess he becomes a world-shaking powerhouse after the apocalypse. Tran Loc walks up and whispers, "Don't be afraid, I am here to save you." Then he turns and shouts, "Where is the owner of this place? Get out here, now." "I am right here. What do you want, sir?" "You are trying to snatch my dog and then asking me what is wrong. If I had not shown up in time, you would have thrown my Blackie right into the pot." The owner thinks to himself, "Wait, I thought this was just a stray. Since when did it have an owner?" The man scratches his head and says, "Look, brother, I get my stock from legitimate sources. Most dogs look the same, so you probably just have the wrong one." Tran Loc narrows his eyes. "Legitimate sources, huh? Fine, let us call the police and see just how legitimate your business is." Loc knows he just needs to rattle him. Sure enough, the guy starts to sweat. "Hey kid, do not be reckless, or I will have to show you who is boss." Tran Loc scoffs. "Oh? You want to get physical?" In a flash, he grabs the old man's arm, sweeps his leg, and pins him to the floor. With decades of combat training from the apocalypse nightmare, did this guy really think he stood a chance? Tran Loc looks down and asks, "Well, owner, do you still want to handle me?" The man immediately folds his hands in prayer. "Brother, no, big brother, please, have mercy. This was all just a big misunderstanding." He scrambles over to the cages. "Which one is yours, big brother?" "Just take him home. No charge, okay?" Tran Loc nods. "Fine. Since you have a decent attitude now, I will let it slide. But try that tough guy act again, and you will regret it." Even though Tran Loc has more than enough money to buy Blackie back, getting him for free feels way more satisfying. A moment later, Blackie is wagging his tail in front of Tran Loc. The dealer sighs, "Big brother, he is all yours. You can take him now." Tran Loc looks at the pup. "Hey, do you want to come home with me?" Seeing the look in the dog's eyes, it is clear he is already gaining sentience. He understands every word. Blackie thinks to himself, "Blackie? Is he talking to me? Well, he did save my life, so I might as well follow him." Seeing the dog follow him, Tran Loc smiles. He really is special. Recruiting the Lightning King Phap Vuong, mission accomplished. Tran Loc is definitely riding in style. Who would have thought he would pick up a stray in a Lamborghini? Once they are in the car, Loc says, "From now on, you are with me. I am going to call you Phap Vuong, okay?" The dog gives a sharp, happy bark. "I need to build a strong bond with Phap Vuong before things go south. Come on, buddy, let us go get you some gear." On the way, Tran Loc stops to see a military officer named Tu Dai Tru. In his past life, when Tran Loc was just a wanderer with space abilities, Dai Tru used his muscle-strengthening power to fight off the monsters so Loc could escape. In the end, he even sacrificed himself, getting swarmed by zombies just so Tran Loc could survive. Seeing his old savior again, Loc vows, "In this life, I will make sure you never go hungry." He calls out, "Hey, Dai Tru, when you are off the clock tonight, let us go grab a drink and catch up, all right?" The guy is as serious as ever. "I cannot, sir. My mother told me a good man should not pick up bad habits." Tran Loc is speechless. "Fine. Bring your mother along to drink too then." Now, it is Tru's turn to be speechless. Then it hits Tran Loc in this timeline. They are practically strangers, yet he is acting like they are old drinking buddies. It is only after the apocalypse starts that they will become the ultimate team. The scene shifts to a luxury villa with an indoor waterfall. Tran Loc turns to his new companion. Phap Vuong, from now on, this is your home. Come here, let us get you cleaned up. As he washes the dog, Loc cannot help but think about how crazy this rebirth is. In his previous life, he ended up as the last human being on Earth. But now, he knows exactly what kind of powers will emerge. He needs to build a base and recruit elites, maybe starting with more loyal friends, like Phap Vuong. That way, Tran Loc can focus on fully restoring his own spatial powers. But building a fortress requires a massive amount of resources. Food, water, medicine, the list goes on. Once the apocalypse hits, even the rain becomes toxic. There is no natural way to fight the zombie virus. The more he thinks about it, the more he realizes just how much work lies ahead. He looks at the dog. Do not be afraid, Phap Vuong. Your life is going to be completely different this time. I just need you to use that lightning of yours to help me out. Zombies are terrified of electricity. Even if it is weak at first, it will be a huge power source for the base later on. Heh. Tran Loc immediately starts ordering everything they will need. There is not a second to lose. And just like that, it is time for their first dinner. A master and his dog are sitting together for a meal. Tran Loc says caringly, "Hey little black, eat a bit slower, or you're going to choke." Tran Loc tosses down a bone and adds, "Don't worry, we have enough food and water to last us a lifetime." He chuckles to himself, watching little black mimic him by tossing a bone aside too. Do dogs really throw bones like that? But looking at his own pile of scraps, he starts to feel a bit awkward. It feels like he's unintentionally insulting himself. Just as he's enjoying a delicious drumstick, there's a knock at the door. A woman appears and introduces herself as Mongok. Tran Loc is excited to see her. She's a professional chef he hired, and currently, he's still learning the ropes of cooking from her. Tran Loc immediately invites her inside. She thinks to herself, it's just a cooking lesson, yet the salary is 500,000 yuan a month. Rich people are something else. With such a high price tag, she can't help but wonder if Tran Loc has some kind of twisted ulterior motive. However, catching a glimpse of Tran Loc's face puts her mind at ease. She reconsiders, thinking that with his looks, he definitely wouldn't be short on beautiful young ladies. He probably wouldn't even give her a second thought, right? Tran Loc has already bought all the necessary ingredients for his lesson. Since not knowing how to cook after the apocalypse would be a nightmare, no amount of money spent on learning is a waste. She steps into the kitchen and says, "Let's get started. I'm going to teach you how to make sweet and sour ribs." Tran Loc is incredibly pumped, but he's playing a bit of a game here. The salary is technically due next month, but by then, the world will have already ended. The chef stands by his side and instructs him that the ribs need to be chopped into smaller pieces. Wait for them to cool down a bit before putting them in the pot. Now pour in the oil. Wait, is your house overflowing with oil? Why did you pour so much? And can you seriously not tell the difference between sugar and salt? The final result is a plate of ghost ribs that looks bizarre, though they might actually look appetizing to a zombie. After finishing the dish, Tran Loc feels more exhausted than if he'd been fighting off a horde of undead. Despite the mess, the chef says it's better than last time. Tran Loc looks at his own cooking and feels a wave of fear. Even Little Black turns up his nose at it, let alone a human. Beside him, Little Black barks as if saying, "Master, we have no grudge against each other. So why are you trying to poison me?" The chef encourages him to try harder next time, saying he'll improve if he keeps it up. Tran Loc, however, feels like this isn't going to work. Maybe he should just hire a full-time chef for the post-apocalypse. The lesson ends, and the master chef says her goodbyes. Tran Loc thinks to himself that Manuk's skills are actually top-notch. He wonders how she'll fare once the world falls apart. Watching her walk away, he thinks, "Mongok, based on your destiny, I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other again." May 30th, only 3 days left until the end of the world. Tran Loc continues his preparations by buying an electric baseball bat. Standard voltage can knock someone out, but high voltage can be lethal. May 31st, only 2 days left. Tran Loc goes out and buys a truck. Now it's June 1st, and Tran Loc is tossing and turning, unable to sleep because tomorrow is the day everything changes. He lived a miserable life in his past incarnation. But then again, if the apocalypse doesn't happen, all his preparation will have been for nothing. Maybe it's better if the world doesn't end. He thinks he could handle being the only one who loses out for the sake of humanity. June 2nd, about 1 hour and 20 minutes before the apocalypse begins. Tran Loc makes a call and says, "Hello, uncle. Sorry for disturbing you so early in the morning. I have something I need your help with. From what I've gathered, cryptocurrency is about to skyrocket. It could potentially go up 10 times in value. But as you know, all my cash is tied up in my meat business. I want to use 10 billion yuan worth of inventory as collateral to borrow 5 billion from you. By then, my 5 billion will turn into 50 billion, and there will definitely be a huge profit in it for you too." Tran Loc adds, "How about I come over to your place so we can talk clearly? Bring brother Phi along too." As he drives, Tran Loc thinks, the day the world ends will be the day you all die. Before getting out of the car, Tran Loc tells Little Black, "You have to stay in the vehicle to stay safe. Whatever you do, don't go running off." Little Black barks back in agreement. Tran Loc looks toward Dai Tru. Even though Dai Tru lived a decent life without his guidance in the past, this is about repaying a debt of gratitude. He figures he should still give him a little warning. Tran Loc walks up and says, "I have a really bad feeling about today. I feel like something big is going to happen. After 9 o'clock, you absolutely must stay alert and stay safe." Dai Tru listens and looks a bit worried, saying, "Yes, of course, brother Tran." Meanwhile, at the Tran family villa, the old uncle says, "That kid Tran Loc says crypto is going up. He's really asking for trouble. Even if it does go up, it'll be temporary and completely worthless." His son speaks up, "But this is also a great opportunity, father." The old man speaks bluntly, saying he knows he's been playing the kid, so there's no reason the kid would actually help them make money. The son argues, "I understand crypto very well. He wouldn't be this desperate without a reason. Besides, who else is going to lend him 5 billion yuan? While they're talking, they get word that Tran Loc has arrived. The father says they should still be a little cautious. It is now 9:05. "Tran Loc, you're a bit timid, but let your brother Duong play along with you. If you want to flip crypto to make money, don't you dare forget about me." They then share a warm embrace that makes Tran Loc feel like he's going to vomit. After the greetings are over, Tran Loc starts eating like a starving ghost at their house. They watch him eat with quite a bit of shock. Suddenly, there's a strange noise from outside. The old man immediately shouts, "Little Phi, go outside and check it out." Tran Loc knows that what's meant to happen is finally happening. He then runs out, saying, "I'll go check too, just in case we need to rush brother Phi to the hospital." The old uncle was suspicious. Just as Phi Ka was about to open the front door, a zombie lunged right at him. He saw his maid had suddenly turned into a monster and fell back in terror. What the hell was happening? The zombie lunged at him the moment it saw him, hissing, "Blood, so much blood." Phi Ca slammed the door shut, but suddenly, someone pushed it back open. Tran Loc had arrived just in time. He said, "Hey cousin, if you close the door, how will we know what's going on?" Then, he whacked him across the back of the neck with his baton. Tran Loc grabbed the door and said, "Don't worry, I won't let you die from a little shock that easily." With that, he flung the door wide open. The zombie immediately jumped on Phi Ca and started tearing him apart. The old uncle ran out and was paralyzed by the sight. He screamed, "Tran Loc, what the hell are you doing?" He charged forward in a panic, but Tran Loc just pointed his baton at him. "Come on then," Tran Loc taunted. Seeing the electric baton coming his way, the old man cowed. Tran Loc laughed. "Haha, what's the matter? Are you some kind of insulator? Not afraid of getting shocked? You actually tried to block this with your hand?" A second later, the old man was flat on the floor. Tran Loc remarked, "That looks like it hurt." Just then, Phi Ka regained consciousness, groaning in agony. He looked at his father and cried, "Dad, save me." The old uncle spat back, "I don't have a son like you." He tried to reach for Tran Loc's leg. Tran Loc kicked his hand away and said, "Your daddy's right there on the ground." He tried to speak again, but the zombie behind him kept gnawing away. Tran Loc stood by, coldly enjoying the gruesome show. Then, he gave the old uncle a nudge with his baton. "Wakey, wakey, uncle." The old man woke up just in time to see his son being ripped to pieces. He screamed at Tran Loc, "Tran Loc, Tran Phi is your cousin. Save him. I admit it. I framed your family. But Phi has nothing to do with it," Tran Loc asked. "Is that all you did?" He stared at the old man with a chillingly calm expression. The old man suddenly wondered, does he already know everything? Tran Loc grabbed him by the collar. "Think carefully, uncle. Your son won't last much longer." The old man was still stubborn. "Tran Loc, save Phi right now." I won't call the police, otherwise, you'll never get away with this, Tran Loc replied. I gave you a chance. The old man kept cursing. You heartless beast, killing your own cousin and uncle? You're worse than a dog. Tran Loc slapped him hard. Are you talking about yourself? My parents were kind enough to bring you into the Tran group, and what did you do? You secretly murdered them just to steal the company, and you have the nerve to say that? Then, Tran Loc tossed him right to the zombies. Tran Loc thought sadly, Dad, I couldn't help you back then. This is all I can do for you now. After finishing off the father and son, the zombie lunged at Tran Loc. He immediately smashed his baton into its face. He thought to himself, as expected, they have no emotions left besides the urge to eat. The zombie shrieked as the electricity surged through it. Even if they don't feel fear, they still feel pain. So, stunning them with electricity actually works. Killing these things isn't hard. You just have to drive something through the center of their heads. It's gross, but it's the most effective way. Plus, there's a treasure hidden between their brows, a crystal. In this zombie world, these crystals are everywhere. Tran Loc began storing the crystals in his pocket dimension. These zombie crystals contain a massive amount of energy. They don't just help you awaken and recover quickly, they can also level you up. Fire crystals are red, and wind crystals are green. Space crystals are transparent, but the crystal Tran Loc got from the Law King was purple. After dealing with his wicked uncle and cousin, Tran Loc went outside to see the chaos. Immediately, another zombie rushed him. Tran Loc happily whacked it with his baton. Since zombies are weak in the beginning, the electric shock paralyzed it instantly. Tran Loc took the crystal from this zombie too, treating it like a fee for setting a soul free. Little Black, watching from the car, was horrified by Tran Loc's brutality. He thought tearfully, is my master really this cruel? Tran Loc walked over to explain. Law King, I think it's almost time for us to awaken. Those are just zombies, not people. Once you awaken, we'll hit the road. Then, Tran Loc led Little Black into the house. Little Black was shocked to see the bodies. Tran Loc said, you'll get used to it. Then, he casually sat down to peel some fruit. He sat on the sofa, ignoring the world falling apart. But as he was taking a bite of an apple, something strange happened. Little Black began his lightning awakening. He was in intense pain during the process. Tran Loc saw this and quickly backed away. What a great master. Once it was over, Little Black was collapsed on the floor. Only then did Tran Loc feel safe enough to run over. He checked the situation while still munching on his apple, thinking Little Black's lightning powers must have finally awakened. Finally, he could travel through the zombie hordes without a worry. But just as he thought that, he felt something was off. Suddenly, a powerful surge of electricity erupted from Little Black, making the surrounding space shake violently. The apple he was holding dropped to the ground. Right after that, a wave of intense pain washed over him. It looks like it's finally his turn to awaken another ability. Tran Loc struggled to stay on his feet. He managed to slump into a chair to stabilize the surges of newly awakened energy. With a wave of his hand, 2 streaks of blue light shot out. Just as he expected, the wall in front of him instantly warped. Seeing this, Xiaohei just let out a woof. Tran Loc looked at his hands and sighed. This isn't good. One strike like this won't even take down a single zombie, even though I used a quarter of my power. In the apocalypse, ability levels are ranked from 1 to 10. But once you hit level 10, there's still the king level. In his past life, the Dharma King, Xiaohei, and Mai Lin had all reached the king level. Tran Loc was also king level, but after he obtained the Dharma King's crystal, he ascended to a whole new stage. But Tran Loc still didn't know what its actual purpose was. Right now, the crystal in front of him was just a transparent level 1 spatial type. If he could get 20 more crystals, he'd reach level 2. Tran Loc looked at Xiaohei and said, don't you dare shock me. First, feel and gather your energy, then release it. Sure enough, a second later, Xiaohei let out a loud cry, Pika Pika! 100,000 volts of electricity slammed into the wall. Tran Loc walked over to pet him, praising, good boy, Xiaohei, keep it up. Not long after, Tran Loc headed to a spot with some zombies for Xiaohei to practice. He said, let's split up and take them down. Xiaohei barked back. Man, Tran Loc really came prepared. He was decked out in a full suit of armor and even brought 2 electric baseball bats. Meanwhile, Xiaohei didn't even have a single scrap of fabric on him. A zombie spotted them approaching, but before it could even react, Tran Loc and Xiaohei launched a surprise attack. The zombie couldn't believe the power coming from a dog. Xiao was annoyed, it dodged, but Tran Loc pointed and said, "It's okay. Go over there and lure them this way." Xiao ran around, teasing the zombies like it was a game. Tran Loc called out, "Be careful now." After clearing the zombies outside, Tran Loc headed into a supermarket located in a wealthy villa district. He immediately used his ability to stash all the necessary supplies into his space. Tran Loc was a real hustler, fighting off zombies while casually swiping groceries and crystals into his pocket dimension. After finishing off the zombies and grabbing supplies, Tran Loc was feeling a bit wiped. Outside, Xiao was still messing with the zombies to keep their attention. As Xiao ran back and forth, he was confused. He couldn't figure out how his master could handle the zombies so easily. He was pretty considerate too, fighting zombies with one hand while using the other to pat Xiao head for encouragement. "You'll be as strong as me soon," Xiao barked in response. Meanwhile, chaos was breaking out everywhere as zombies began to overrun the city. As Tran Loc was driving, a young guy behind him called out. He revved his engine and asked what the hell was going on, since he couldn't get a phone signal. Tran Loc simply said, "The apocalypse has officially begun." The guy heard the word apocalypse and just couldn't wrap his head around it, but then he tried to act cool and said, "Hey brother, let's stick together. We can help each other out if anything happens." Tran Loc coldly replied, "No thanks." The guy got pissed and started cursing. "Tran Loc, you're gonna turn into a zombie before long. Just you wait." Tran Loc was actually planning to recruit some followers, but they had to be elites to survive. While driving lost in thought, he noticed something up ahead. Unexpectedly, a massive horde of zombies was blocking the road. A second later, the sound of his engine attracted countless zombies on the street. Seeing a target, they lunged forward instantly. Tran Loc got out of the car with a smirk. As expected, 2 zombies rushed him and were floored immediately, but 3 more jumped him from behind right away. Tran Loc spun around, swinging his bat with a grin. "You zombies really think you can pull an ambush on me?" Finally, there was one left lunging while Tran Loc was still joking around, and it managed to sink its teeth into his arm. But Tran Loc had calculated everything. He let it take a bite on purpose before knocking it back, knowing his armor would protect him. Tran Loc raised his bat and said, "Since there's no one left to pull your teeth in the apocalypse, I'll do you a favor." A second later, he charged. "But then again, you bastards don't even have a future." Just as he was about to strike, the bat malfunctioned. Damn it, of all the times to run out of battery, Tran Loc started panicking a bit. He ended up just tossing the bat at the zombies to stall them. "Fine, you want it? Take it, just don't bite me." But let's not forget, Tran Loc has spatial powers. Instantly, he pulled out a fresh baseball bat to keep playing with the horde. And of course, after taking them down, he had to harvest those crystals. Xiao ran over, looking confused about where they were, letting out a couple of barks. Tran Loc walked over to show off the truck he'd bought earlier just for this day. "Don't look down on my ride. Hop in and I'll give you a lift." Feeling triumphant, Tran Loc asked, "Xiao with this truck." Before finishing his sentence, he floored the gas and added, "What kind of zombie do we even have to be afraid of? And there's more." The garage door was instantly sent flying by the car. Chen Luo said with satisfaction, "This feeling is freaking awesome." Heading outside, he ran into a pack of zombies wearing worker uniforms. But even with 100 zombies, this car would mow them all down. Seeing the car plow through zombies like that makes me want to get one too. Xiao watched the scene, terrified by how brutal it was. At that moment, some people watching the car from upstairs said in admiration, "Damn, this guy is seriously overpowered." 3 people were seen talking to each other. "That car is way stronger than the others. Since we are stuck in this cold storage, let's get him to take us out of here." The young man who just met Chen Luo said, "Who do you think you are, expecting someone to risk their life coming here? Besides, I can see the driver is ruthless. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to take down those zombies like that." Then he continued, "I suspect he knows there are supplies in this cold storage and is here to loot them before leaving." He added, "God helps those who help themselves. Let's take this chance to hijack his car and get out of here." Meanwhile, Chen Luo had stepped out of the vehicle, ready to grab some supplies. The guys upstairs were still arguing about stealing the car. That young man heard it and thought it made sense. While Chen Luo was collecting zombie crystals, someone approached and said, "Hello." It turned out to be the girl from that group. "Thank you for helping us deal with the zombies here." Chen Luo figured she was about to ask him to save her. Chen Luo asked, "How many of you are there?" She said there were 3 and made up more stories to buy time for her teammates to launch a sneak attack. As expected, they grabbed Chen Luo. Chen Luo was speechless. Damn it. She was just thanking me a second ago. Two idiots said, "Hey big brother, don't resist. Don't worry, we're just politely asking for the car." Chen Luo said nothing. Xiaohei jumped down from the car to save his master. The fools saw the little puppy and looked down on him. But they had no idea Chen Luo used his spatial ability to pull out an electric baseball bat. Instantly, those two were beaten to a pulp. For their stupidity, Chen Luo sighed and said, "Well, dead men don't talk anyway." After taking out the two idiots, Chen Luo looked at the girl who had lured him. Seeing him approach, she burst into tears and begged for mercy. Chen Luo just said, "Shut your mouth." She ran off screaming, "Help me." Chen Luo just gave a slight smirk. Running that fast, where is Zhao He? On command, the dog charged and tackled her from behind. There was no way she was escaping. Chen Luo immediately finished off this deceptive woman. Once things were settled, they continued their journey to collect supplies. Sure enough, this place had everything, from all sorts of drinks to shrimp, crab, and meat. After clearing the area, they were beaming with joy. Chen Luo felt they had enough for the day, so he decided to rest for a bit before continuing the hunt. While driving, someone ahead signaled for him to stop. The man immediately opened his mouth and said, "Can you give me a lift?" However, he was carrying a club that didn't look trustworthy at all. One look at this guy, and Chen Luo knew he was up to no good. Then he thought, "I just dealt with those other guys, and now it is this clown's turn?" The young man continued waving at Chen Luo's car, but Chen Luo didn't give a damn and sped right past him. Seeing this, the guy immediately started cursing. "Son of a, are you trying to run me over?" Chen Luo looked in the mirror and saw him fuming. "Want to steal my stuff? Go find your own, you pig." But suddenly Chen Luo stopped the car and turned to Xiaohei. "That guy said he wants to eat dog meat." Xiaohei was confused since he didn't hear anything about dog meat. The guy saw the car stop, rolled up his sleeves, and prepared to teach Chen Luo a lesson. Xiaohei ran down to see if the guy really wanted a taste. The man was a bit surprised to see a dog, but he didn't care and immediately moved in for a cruel strike. Xiaohei discharged electricity, thinking, "Master wants you dead, so you must die." Then Xiaohei thought, "So you like dog meat, huh?" Chen Luo leaned his head out and said, "From now on, don't hesitate when you attack. That is the only way to survive. That is how you survive the apocalypse." Hearing this, Xiaohei immediately bit the guy's neck, thinking his master had a very good point. Now, that guy was truly finished. Chen Luo called Xiaohei back into the car to head home and rest. The car kept cruising down the road, ignoring the other zombies. But the roads in this area were narrow, so Xiaohei had to draw their attention. Chen Luo thought, "In a moment, Xiaohei will run off and they will come back. By then, they will become free car guards. Let's see if anyone dares to steal it then." Chen Luo thought his rebirth hadn't affected the world, so Dazhu should still be safe, right? Chen Luo dealt with some zombies in the villa, never forgetting to take their crystals. He wondered how many he had collected by now. But he didn't know where Dazhu was hiding to go help him. It looked like he had to use the most old-fashioned way. Then he started running back and forth, shouting, "Dazhu, where are you?" Over on the other side, Dazhu heard Chen Luo's voice. The girl next to him said worriedly, "Don't go over there. That person is crazy." Dazhu was also very worried. If he ran out, it could endanger her too. "Brother Chen, why are you using this method to find me?" Tran Loc kept shouting, making Dai Tru realize he had to come up with a plan fast. The girl chimed in, begging him not to leave her behind in this place. Just then, they looked down and saw several zombies sprinting past them. Back with Tran Loc, he took down a zombie with just a single swing of his club. Watching him from afar, Dai Tru couldn't help but be amazed. "Tran Loc is incredible," he shouted at the top of his lungs. "Big brother Loc, I'm over here." Tran Loc looked over and was surprised to see it was actually Tran Tin. Tran Loc thought to himself, "How did I forget about this little snake?" In his past life, she had put Dai Tru through absolute hell. She wouldn't even touch the water she found, until she forced Dai Tru to drink it first, to test it. This scheming woman is truly a piece of work. She didn't just play Dai Tru, she tried to wrap Tran Loc around her finger too, all just for a bit of food and water. Tran Loc walked over and gave her a faint, cold smile. "Tran Tin, if you try your sneaky little tricks again in this life, don't blame me when I tear off your mask so Dai Tru can see who you really are." Tran Loc said, "Dai Tru, come with me. We'll have a better chance if we stick together." Being her typical fake self, Tran Tin waved and said, "Hello, Big brother Tran. I've heard Dai Tru mention you so many times. Ignoring her completely, Tran Loc said, we need to move now. If the zombies catch up, we're in trouble. She gritted her teeth in frustration, but quickly followed along, forcing a polite, yes sir. She secretly planned to get on Tran Loc's good side. She needed these two men to be her personal shields. Soon, they arrived at a large villa. She started plotting again. This villa looks like the apocalypse never even happened. I'll just wait for the government to rescue us, then I'll find a way to manipulate Tran Loc. Two birds with one stone. Suddenly, their stomachs growled. Tran Loc turned and asked, hungry? Don't worry. Just stay put while I find us something to eat. Tran Loc thought to himself, there's no way I'm letting this little snake play us again. He then pulled some food out of his spatial storage. He looked at Tu Hoc with a sly smirk. You made our lives a living hell last time, so it's only fair I give you a little taste of your own medicine, right? He proceeded to rub the cake right against Tu Hoc's butt, leaving the dog completely stunned. Then, Tran Loc brought out the two cakes. This is all the food left in the house, so everyone eat up. Being the nice guy he is, Dai Tru said. Big brother Loc, you should keep one for yourself. Tran Loc insisted it was fine and handed the other cake to Tran Tin. Girls have smaller appetites, so you take the smaller piece, okay? She forced a smile and said, thank you so much, but inside, she was fuming. How the hell is this tiny bit of food supposed to fill me up? Still, food was food, so she put on a happy face and took a bite. Tu Hoc watched closely as Tran Tin started eating the cake. The dog was genuinely shocked that she was eating something with its scent on it. Damn, she really has a strong stomach. Tran Loc laughed, satisfied with the sight. But to prevent any future trouble, he knew he had to expose her true colors soon. Tran Loc turned to Dai Tru. There are zombies everywhere, so we need to find a way to the supermarket for supplies. Dai Tru replied, as long as I have this electric baseball bat. No zombie is going to lay a finger on you as long as I'm breathing. Tran Loc nodded. True, but there are still too many of them. Hey, little sister, you're small, but you look like you can run pretty fast. Tran Loc pointed at her and said, Dai Tru and I are going to the supermarket. You'll be the bait to distract the zombies, then we'll meet back here. She was absolutely floored. If you don't work, you don't eat. You can't expect a free meal in this world. She started faking tears, sobbing, I'm so weak. I really can't run that fast. I'll die for sure, Tran Loc asked. Then what can you actually do? Then he suggested, fine, I'll be the one to distract the zombies. Is it okay if you and Dai Tru go grab the supplies then? She continued her act. It's not that I don't want to help. I'm just afraid I'll be a burden and slow you down. So you want us to risk our lives while you just sit here and stuff your face? She thought to herself in a rage. Is this Tran Loc guy insane? How could he expect a girl like me to do that? She turned to the other man and whimpered, Brother Dai Tru. Tran Loc saw right through her. She was trying to manipulate Dai Tru into speaking up for her. Tran Loc said, I haven't had a drop of water all morning. My throat is bone dry, and it's my own fault for not bringing enough. I have no idea if the water outside is contaminated or not. Then, Tran Loc pointed at her. Why don't you give it a try first? If you do, I won't make you go outside. She was livid, thinking, he dares to use me as a guinea pig. Ever since the outbreak, I haven't even dared to take a sip of water. She actually had a bottle hidden, but she didn't want to drink it in front of Dai Tru because she was afraid he'd ask for some. Suddenly, she glanced at Tu Hoc and said, Oh, I know. We can let the dog drink it as a test. Tu Hoc was absolutely stunned by her coldness. I might be a dog, but you're the one being a real bitch. Tu Hoc immediately lunged forward and bit her just to get even. She quickly used her bag as a shield. As the bag hit the floor, snacks and drinks spilled out everywhere. Tran Loc leaned down to pick them up. You sure brought a lot of stuff with you, didn't you? He stuck a straw into a drink and said, I'm not exactly keen on sharing a straw with a filthy person like you. Tran Loc took a sip and then tossed a pack of snacks to Dai Tru, saying, Eat up and get full, then we're heading out. Dai Tru looked at the snacks in his hand with a heavy heart. He had literally put his life on the line to save her, and all this time, she had been hiding food from him. As Dai Tru took a bite, he realized she never intended to share. She just wanted it all for herself. Furious, she rushed over and screamed, Don't you dare eat that, that's my food, put it down right now. But Tran Loc was ready and stuck his leg out. She fell flat on her face, but she still had the nerve to crawl up and whine. How can two grown men be so cruel and bully a helpless girl like me? Is that what you call a man? Loc took a sip of water and scoffed. Why don't you go ask a zombie if it cares whether you're a man or a woman? Even though the truth had come out, it wasn't enough to make Big True truly snap yet. Loc realized he would have to do something much more drastic to trigger him. Loc looked at her and said, "What are you crying for? Once we've had our fill, we're going out for supplies. Once we get back, we'll pay you back 10 times over." She realized he had a point, especially since she wasn't in any position to pick a fight with Big True and Loc right now. So she kept up the act. "It was wrong of me to hide the truth from you guys. I'm truly sorry." Loc couldn't help but feel disgusted hearing her pathetic script. This bitch really knows how to spin a lie. He turned to Big True and said, "Let's check out the supermarket. I'll head out first to prep everything. You two stay here and have a little heart-to-heart." Right then, Loc ordered Little Black to lure about 10 zombies over to their location. Little Black was confused. Why attract zombies to our own house? Loc tossed some garlic bulbs in the air and thought to himself, this is only the beginning. He walked out and asked, "Look at this, what do you think?" Big True asked, puzzled. "Why are you squeezing garlic juice, Brother Loc?" Loc smiled and said, "You guys probably didn't know, but the smell of garlic scares zombies away, just like in the movies. Let's see if she falls for it this time, that manipulative little snake. Too bad there are only 2 bowls of juice in the house, just enough for the 2 of us." Before he even finished speaking, Little Black had already led the pack of zombies to their door. "Tin, oh Tin, let's see if you'll snatch the bowl to save your own skin when you're staring death in the face." "Heh." She turned around, saw the horde, and screamed, "This is bad. The zombies are here. They've smashed through the iron gate." Loc poured a cup over his head and yelled to Big True, "Quick, pour it on yourself." Big True turned around, looking like he wanted to give his share to Tin instead. Even though he was starting to resent her, he wasn't quite ready to just leave her for dead. That's when Tin looked at the bowl and her true face finally came out. Just as Big True was about to hand her the juice, she snatched it and dumped the whole thing over her own head. Big True was stunned. I was actually going to give that bowl of garlic juice to you." Standing nearby, Loc said, "You see that, Big True? In this apocalypse, we have to be careful who we trust. Some people just don't deserve to be called human anymore." Tin turned to Loc and hissed, "You tricked me." Loc fired back, "Wasn't it your own rotten nature that did this?" He leaned into her ear and whispered, "You're dead meat. Zombies are actually incredibly sensitive to the smell of garlic." She started shaking instantly. Didn't you say garlic makes them scared? I just wanted to live. What's so wrong with that?" Loc patted her shoulder and said, "Nothing's wrong with that, but you should have at least been honest. A manipulative snake like you isn't even worth being a snack for those zombies." Loc pulled gear out of his spatial storage, thinking that once she was dead, she wouldn't be able to talk. As for Big True, he'd just have to make sure he kept his mouth shut. Seeing Loc's terrifying presence, she realized he'd planned this all along, which is why he poured the garlic juice on himself first. Loc told Big True to hide to one side so he wouldn't get in the way. Tin ran up to him, using her sweetest voice. "I'll do whatever you want. Just please save me." Loc just turned and said one thing, "Go to hell, you pig." By then, the zombies had reached her. She screamed, "What did I ever do to you?" A second later, the zombies swarmed her and tore her apart. By the time they were done, Loc had already wiped out the entire pack. Big True walked over in his armor, looking at Tin's body with a bit of regret. But now wasn't the time for that. They had to clear these bodies out. After the fight, Loc was exhausted from dragging all those zombie corpses away. Suddenly, his mind drifted to Chef Mangok. He wondered if she'd found a safe place to hide since the world ended. Loc was worried sick about whether Mangok was still alive, but he knew he couldn't afford to get distracted right now. He looked over at Big True, thinking about how he needed to help him survive this hellscape to repay the kindness from his past life. Suddenly, a mischievous idea popped into his head. He called out, "Little Black, you see all this water leaking out? I'm going to give you a cloth to soak up the water, then you're going to wring it out. Cleaning the house is your job now. You don't get any food until you're finished." What a great master. However, Little Black couldn't help but think, "Master, you're a real piece of work, you know that?" Just then, Big True walked up and suggested they head to the supermarket to scavenge for food and water. Loc replied, "No need to rush. I've got something better right here." He then revealed a massive spread of delicious food and fresh fruit. Big True was speechless, stuttering. Where did you even get all this from?" Loc cracked open a soda and asked, "Haven't you noticed your body changing since the apocalypse started?" Right then, Big True remembered the strange feeling from this morning. His head had been throbbing with an intense pain. After that, he could feel a strange surge of energy flowing through his veins. While eating, Loc explained, actually, I started going through those changes even before the world went to hell. Loc showed off his power to Big True and said, I can control my own private dimension to store all our supplies. It finally clicked for Big True. Some people were actually awakening special powers in this new world. Loc raised his glass and added, I have a feeling we're going to be great brothers. Come on, let's have a drink to celebrate. Daiju looked at the table overflowing with food and gasped, saying there was just too much to eat and they should save it for reserves. Luo just shrugged and said, if we can't finish it, we have Blackie. Blackie looked at Luo and thought to himself, even if it is just my master's leftovers, I am more than happy to have it, thank you, master. But then he started pouting, feeling a bit sorry for himself, thinking, is a dog really supposed to be the one mopping the floors? After they finished eating, Luo handed some crystals to Daiju and told him they would help him level up. Daiju looked confused and asked where he got them. Luo smiled and told him they came right out of the zombies' brains. Luo then told Daiju to get some rest because they were going out to hunt for more crystals the next day, since they needed to increase their strength quickly to survive this apocalypse. He also added, and hey, stop calling me Mr. Chen. From now on, just call me brother. While lying in bed, Luo checked his own progress. Usually, absorbing 8 crystals at once was the limit. But this time, Luo counted and realized he had gone through over 20 of them. He calmed his mind and felt the energy of the 20 crystals, when suddenly, a sharp pain shot through the back of his head. He could not believe he had already leveled up. In his past life, it took him 14 days to reach level 2, but now it felt like his body was craving even more crystals. So, Luo decided to keep going and see just how many more he could take in. He had no idea what his limit was. By this point, he could already manifest a sword made of pure energy, though it vanished before he could hold it for long. Luo collapsed onto the bed, completely exhausted but amazed. He managed to absorb 42 crystals and even summoned a void sword. At this rate, he might be able to walk through the void by level 4, instead of waiting until level 9 like he did in his previous life. On top of that, he would likely master the space portals of the king rank much sooner than expected. Early the next morning, Daiju said, brother, your training method really works. I can feel my strength increasing already after absorbing 7 crystals. Blackie also barked happily at his master, letting out 9 loud woofs. Luo looked at Blackie and said, so you absorbed 8? Not bad at all, good boy. Hearing that, Daiju was shocked, thinking, wait, even the dog did more than me? Luo pulled out a bat and some armor and said, Daiju, do not underestimate Blackie. His natural talent is way higher than yours. Now, put this armor on. Once we eat, we are heading to the grain warehouse. After breakfast, they headed out to their vehicle, which was surrounded by zombies. Luo laughed and said, see? Having zombies guard the car actually works out pretty well. Daiju looked worried and asked, there are so many of them. Shouldn't we take them out? Luo replied, no, stay back. They are guarding the car for free. Just let Blackie lure them away. Blackie immediately took off, drawing the swarm's attention. Watching him, Daiju felt a bit self-conscious, realizing Blackie seemed more useful than he was. Luo chuckled and said, do not go comparing yourself to a dog. He does things even I can't do. Everyone has their own strengths. Daiju looked skeptical until Luo added, for example, he is willing to eat literal trash, and I am definitely not. Blackie overheard this and got annoyed, thinking, hey, when did I ever do that? They finally drove away from the villa. When they reached the warehouse, Luo found it strange that it was so quiet. There were supposed to be many people here. So where did they go? There was no one calling for help despite all the commotion. Since there were large bunkers at the warehouse, he figured everyone must be hiding inside. Luo parked the car and started looking for a way down into the cellar. Before long, they found the entrance, but Luo suddenly spotted something. It was a skeleton, picked so clean that it couldn't have been a zombie. Zombies are never that thorough. He wondered if some of the animals in the warehouse had mutated. He started to worry that they might be dealing with a swarm of mutated ants or rats. As they walked past countless skeletons, Luo felt that going further was becoming too risky. Food was not worth their lives. Suddenly, a strange noise broke their silence. Luo screamed, it is the rats. Run! Blackie and the others bolted like their lives depended on it. Behind them, a terrifying swarm of starving rats was closing in, looking for their next meal. Once they got outside, a single rat lunged at Blackie. Luo yelled, Blackie, watch out! But that was just the beginning. A massive wave of rats was right on the dog's heels. A giant rat, much larger than the rest, pointed toward Luo and hissed, "That human looks tasty." After him, living up to its role as the leader, it quickly leaped behind them. It slammed into the back of Luo's armor, knocking him face first onto the ground. Daiju panicked, seeing things spiral out of control. He realized he could not just keep running forever. Seeing the swarm closing in, Luo was terrified, but he quickly pulled out his electric baseball bat and started swinging at the vermin. Meanwhile, Daiju was also being swarmed. Luo rushed over, swinging his bat to clear the space around his friend. He thanked his lucky stars that the electric bat was powerful enough to fry the rats instantly. However, the alpha rat was a completely different story. Even though many were dying, the swarm kept coming because their numbers were just too overwhelming. Luo looked at the Rat King and realized it must have already awakened a breakthrough ability. Every look and movement it made was calculated. Even for zombies or mutants, it usually takes time to gain this kind of power, but this thing was different. In this world, some creatures evolve way past the norm, gaining insane power in a heartbeat. But there is a catch. The faster their power grows, the shorter their lives become. Running into one of these freaks is like stepping in a big pile of bad luck. Right now, Daiju was being swarmed by rats and got knocked flat on his back. The Rat King saw its opening and lunged for the kill. Daiju was quick enough to swing his club at it, but the beast didn't even flinch. It kept coming, ready to give Daiju a deadly kiss. Just as it opened its maw to bite, Daiju thrust his chest forward, forcing the rat to sink its teeth into his iron chest plate instead. Even though it was solid iron, the plate crumpled under the pressure of those teeth. Lying there, Daiju was shaking with fear. One more bite, and that armor would be pierced right through. Watching from behind, Chen Luo was starting to get worried about Daiju. He figured the Rat King was at least level 3, maybe even level 4. He reached into his dimensional storage and pulled out 2 slabs of prime meat. He tossed the meat to the smaller rats to distract them before rushing in to save Daiju. If he hadn't broken through to level 2 last night, he'd probably be a goner right now. The rat glared at Chen Luo, thinking, "You think that little stick is going to scare me? Just wait until I finish off this guy, then you are next." Chen Luo charged forward, praying he could keep his void sword active for just a bit longer. "Die, you filthy rodent." The rat turned around and was caught completely off guard. Where the hell did Chen Luo get a sword made of light? In a flash, Chen Luo slashed the void sword through the Rat King. As he picked up the beast's crystal, he couldn't help but admire it. "Wow, this thing is huge." Chen Luo turned to Daiju, who had managed to get back up, and said, "Those 2 fangs are massive. We could actually turn them into weapons." Daiju got the message and went over to break them off. But damn, those fangs were stuck in deep. Holy crap, these things are giant. At first, I thought they were small, but they are freaking huge. Seeing Chen Luo tuck the fangs away into his dimensional storage, Daiju asked curiously, "Just how big is that space of yours anyway?" Chen Luo opened the portal wide and replied, "It is not that big. Probably about the size of a grain warehouse, I guess." Chen Luo didn't forget to give Daiju a stern warning. "Do not tell a soul about this. I don't care who it is. Keep your mouth shut." After everything that happened with Chen Jing, Daiju was a lot sharper and more cautious now. "Don't worry, man. I won't tell anyone." They noticed the sun was already setting and were surprised. They'd spent the whole day just fighting rats in a warehouse. Chen Luo gathered up the supplies from the warehouse and said, "It has definitely been a long day." Before long, the 2 of them were back at the villa. "Daiju, today was way too close," Chen Luo said. "We need to level up fast if we want to survive this." Chen Luo handed a device to Daiju and added, "I reckon it'll take 3 days to hit level 3. Let's just stay home and play video games so we don't get bored." "It is settled then. Now, let's eat." 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Chen Luo looked at the pile of dirty dishes and sighed. "Blackie, if only you knew how to wash dishes." Blackie just looked at him, speechless, thinking, "You really need to start acting like a human being." Chen Luo took a swig of water and asked Blackie, "Didn't you hit level 2 the other day?" Blackie immediately barked in response. "Well, they say a good dog needs training to reach its potential. Go find some zombies to practice on." Blackie was so fed up, he didn't even want to look at his master anymore. But as he was heading out, Chen Luo called him back. Blackie thought his master had finally grown a heart and was going to let him stay. But then Chen Luo dropped several bags of trash in front of him. "Take these out for me while you're at it." Chen Luo watched him go and remarked, cleaning and taking out the trash, "You really are a mature dog now. But if I don't tell him, he never takes the initiative. Standing nearby, Daju couldn't help but feel sorry for the poor pup. Meanwhile, Chen Luo's mind drifted to Ma Yu. He really wanted her around to take care of his daily needs. The guy was a total exploiter at heart. He remembered there was a 5-star hotel nearby where she was likely staying. He decided to head there once he hit level 3 to see if he could find her. Chen Luo lay on his bed, training even while he slept. Before long, a signal flared in his mind. He clutched his head in pure joy. In his past life, it took him 2 weeks to reach level 3, but this time, he did it in just 3 days. He continued to absorb the crystals in his hand. At this level, he could keep his void sword active for 20 seconds instead of just 5. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get the job done. Chen Luo stretched and got ready to rest. He'd start his search for Ma Yu first thing in the morning. The next day, they arrived at an abandoned hotel. Dazhu reported that he'd found the staff dorms over on this side. They planned to clear out the remaining zombies before moving in. While they were busy taking down zombies, someone crawled toward them. It was Liu Wenbo, a hotel employee. They were surprised to find a survivor after fighting zombies for half an hour. Chen Luo turned to him and asked if he knew a woman named Ma Yu. The man answered immediately, "I do. I know exactly which room she is in." He pointed to the building across from them. She lived there, but she isn't there right now. There was a conference the day the disaster hit, so she went over to that building instead. Hearing this, Chen Luo grabbed him by the collar. "Lead the way. I will give you some supplies to keep you going." On the other side, Ma Yu was hiding out with the hotel's vice president and a famous celebrity named Lin Yini. Lin Yini shoved Ma Yu and barked, "Don't you dare come any closer to this spot. It is getting way too cramped in here." Man Gok could only grit her teeth and bear it, but Lam Weini was just getting started with her bullying. She grabbed Man Gok by the hair and hissed, "Do you have any idea who you are messing with, you brat?" While they were fighting, a wealthy businessman chimed in, saying, "I think there is enough food here for the rest of us. If she will not listen, then just throw her out." To her shock, even the manager agreed, saying, "Man Gok, there is no more room here. You need to find somewhere else to stay." Lam Weini smirked, feeling triumphant. The manager tried to sound reasonable, adding, "For the sake of the group, could you please just go outside and find another spot?" These people were absolute scum. They were actually planning to throw Man Gok out there to face those bloodthirsty zombies all by herself. That witch Lam Weini walked over and kicked her out, sneering, "This is what you get for trying to stand up to me." The zombies outside spotted her immediately and prepared to pounce. Man Gok felt a wave of bitter resentment, but there was nothing she could do. She thought to herself in a rage, "If someone could help me kill these beasts, I would give anything. I am willing to pay any price." But just a second later, she spotted something. 2 zombies lunged at her instantly. She could only think, "I wish I had the chance to take those human monsters down with me." She closed her eyes, waiting for the cold embrace of death. Suddenly, a powerful kick sent the zombies flying to the side. Then, a familiar voice called out, "Man Gok." Tran Loc walked up to her and asked, "Are you hurt anywhere?" He thought to himself, "I finally found my chef. I have to make sure she comes to work for me." She was overjoyed to see him. "Tran Loc, thank you so much." But Tran Loc immediately covered her mouth and whispered, "Shh, wait until we finish off these zombies, then we will get you out of here." Tran Loc and Dai Tru worked together to take down the approaching horde. The manager and that witch, Lam Weini, were thrilled when they saw this. They actually thought someone had come to save them. As soon as the last zombie fell, Lam Weini ran outside and chirped, "Thank you so much, heroes, for saving us. I am Lam Weini. It is a pleasure to meet you all." She was even delusional enough to think that these two might be her fans. Tran Loc completely ignored her and turned to Man Gok, asking, "Is there anything you want me to settle for you?" Man Gok said bitterly, "It is my own fault. I saved them, and in return, they kicked me out." Tran Loc replied, "That is why it is so hard to be a good person these days." The wealthy businessman spoke up loudly, "If you two take me home and work for me, I will pay you 200,000 yuan every month." Dai Tru waved him off and snapped, "You think money makes you special? I hate people like you who repay kindness with betrayal the most." The manager was terrified. He never expected Tran Loc and his friend to shut that old man down so hard. The old man still tried to act big, saying, "I was wrong to upset your friend, but if you just get me home safely, you can have whatever you want." Tran Loc turned around and said coldly, "Too bad I have one simple rule. If you are my enemy, you have to die." Tran Loc opened his spatial dimension and added, "Since you offended my chef, I am going to tie you all up and let fate decide if you live or die. Tran Loc looked back with a smirk and said, I will just leave you here. The old man shouted, doing this is no different from murder. Lam Wai Ni desperately tried to suck up to him, saying, save me, just save me please. She even tried to seduce Tran Loc, whispering, you can do whatever you want with me. Tran Loc just barked back, get lost. Trash like you makes my skin crawl. Even while being tied up, she kept going, well, I have not showered in a few days, so I am a bit dirty. You could always help me wash up. Tran Loc stuffed a cloth into her mouth and said, let us go. We will leave them to fend for themselves. The young waiter ran after them, asking, big brother, can I follow you please? Tran Loc turned and asked, what do you have that makes you worth bringing along? The boy started to say something, but Tran Loc picked up a club, handed it to him, and said, go kill 10 zombies, and then I will let you join us. Of course, the boy did not have the guts. He stuttered, I can't do that. Tran Loc shrugged and said, I gave you a chance, and you did not take it. After rescuing Mongok from the zombies and those scumbags, Tran Loc still decided to help the young man, even though he did not let him join the team. Tran Loc raised his hand and said, I will give him 3 minutes to grab whatever supplies he can. Then, we will drop him off at the dorms as a thank you. Tran Loc then turned his attention to persuading Mongok to be his chef. He promised her that he would provide plenty of food and clothes, so she would never have to worry again. Mongok agreed instantly. In a situation like this, who would ever turn down an offer like that? Tran Loc happily welcomed her to the team. Once the young man finished gathering his things, they would head back to the villa. Tran Loc said, I have plenty of food at my place, but only you can make it taste truly delicious. Mongok was beyond excited at the thought of all that food. A while later, they arrived back at the villa. Tran Loc asked her if she had awakened any special powers yet. In this apocalypse, some people gain special abilities to fight the zombies. She replied, I was so hungry and miserable that I did not even notice. Tran Loc said, well, try doing what I say to see if you have awakened anything. Mongok followed his instructions, closing her eyes to feel the energy inside her body. Just as expected, a second later, she was able to conjure a small flame right in the palm of her hand. Both of them were a bit surprised to see she had a fire affinity. Tran Loc thought to himself, a fire type? That is actually perfect for a chef. Now she could use her own fire to cook no matter where they were, and the food would probably taste even better than usual. 1.5 hours later, a mouth-watering feast was laid out on the table. Tran Loc and Daju couldn't help themselves because in this apocalypse, they had been living on nothing but instant meals. Even if they cooked for themselves, it was nothing compared to Mongok's skills. The two men and Blackie were stuffing their faces, constantly praising the food. This tofu is amazing, and this braised meat is absolutely perfect. Blackie joined in the praise with an enthusiastic woof woof. After they finished eating, Mongok immediately started to clean up, but Tran Loc told her to go settle into her room instead. He pointed to the room next door and told her to let him know if she needed anything else. Then, he didn't forget to remind her, you can wash the dishes, but just make sure you don't get any water on yourself. Tran Loc knew how important phones were, so he handed her a brand new one. He told her she could watch videos whenever she was bored, because for the next few days, they wouldn't be going out. They were staying in to train and level up their abilities. A few days later, Tran Loc's level 3 ability had become much more refined. At this rate, it wouldn't be long before he was just as overpowered as he was in his past life. While brushing his teeth, Tran Loc couldn't stop thinking about the two sisters, Mai Lin and Mila. Honestly, if he could get those two on his team, he wouldn't have to worry about a thing when going into battle. Tran Loc thought to himself, even though the timing isn't perfect, I have to go find them now. If I wait any longer, I'm afraid someone else might snatch them up first. After all, one was a king-tier powerhouse in the past life, and the other has such an incredible healing technique. Passing them up would be plain stupid. Soon after, Tran Loc and Daju prepared to head out to hunt for crystals. Mongok, listen, no matter what happens, do not open the door. Even if someone is dying right in front of you, stay inside. Tran Loc handed Mongok a club and warned her, don't even poke your head out the window to look. Keep the door locked tight. Mongok understood the situation and told him not to worry. An hour later in a residential area, Tran Loc and Daju were exhausted from fighting off swarms of zombies, but they had managed to collect nearly 500 crystals. Tran Loc was pumped and said, now that is a hell of a haul. I remember those two sisters live in the area just ahead. Daju, take the car and go back to rest first. I'm going to take Blackie and check over here for a bit. Not long after, Tran Loc arrived at a high-rise building. He remembered they lived in room 201. Tran Loc told Blackie to sniff around room 201 to see if they were still there. Blackie obeyed and replied, "You got it, master." Blackie suddenly picked up a scent. Tran Loc noticed and asked, "Did you find something?" But Blackie suddenly started growling and lunged forward. "Oh man, it's just a cat." Seems like Blackie has been lonely for so long he's ready to get frisky with a feline, guys. Tran Loc was a bit surprised when he saw the cat. Could that be their cat? Blackie cornered the cat and thought to himself, bringing this thing back as a pet wouldn't be a bad idea. Seeing Blackie acting so aggressive, Tran Loc rushed over to stop him. "Blackie, don't hurt her." The little cat hissed in terror. "You crazy dog." Tran Loc was stunned when he heard the cat's thoughts. He didn't expect this cat to have already awakened its spiritual consciousness. Tran Loc put his hands on his hips and scolded, "Blackie, how could you be so rude to a lady?" Tran Loc picked the cat up gently and said, "You have to be soft with the girls." Blackie thought disdainfully, "Fine, everything is my fault, okay?" Tran Loc used his spiritual consciousness to communicate with the cat. The kitty grumbled, "That guy is so annoying." Tran Loc agreed, "Yeah, he really is annoying." A second later, the cat suddenly caught the familiar scent of fish. She immediately asked Tran Loc if he had eaten fish. Tran Loc was surprised. How did she know? Was it just pure instinct? Regardless, this was the perfect chance for Tran Loc to win over this awakened cat. Suddenly, someone shouted from upstairs, "Hey, get away from my rice." Holy cow, what a surprise. It was Mila, the very person Tran Loc had been working so hard to find. Tran Loc looked at the cat, confused. Why on earth would she name her Rice? She didn't have this cat in his past life. Mila ran over and kept yelling, "Let go of my rice right now." She completely ignored Tran Loc and snatched the cat out of his hands. "Oh, Rice, I'm so sorry. I wasn't paying attention and let that man catch you." Tran Loc noticed that Mila seemed to be all alone. It looked like the two sisters weren't living together yet. He couldn't just leave her here by herself. Meanwhile, the cat started squirming like crazy because she knew Tran Loc had delicious fish to eat. She thought, "Let me go. He has fish. He's a good man." Within seconds, she escaped Mila's arms. Mila had no idea what was going on. The cat ran back to Tran Loc and complained, "I haven't had fish in a whole week." Tran Loc was speechless, but he knew he had to seize this moment to bring Mila back with him. Tran Loc hugged the cat and said, "If you want fish, let's go to the supermarket. I'm sure there's plenty there." Then he turned to Mila and suggested they team up to find supplies, which took her by surprise. The cat used her spiritual consciousness to tell Mila, "I can feel it. This man doesn't mean any harm." Mila was still hesitant since Tran Loc was a total stranger. Rice thought to herself, "Fine, you stay home then. I'm going with him. Just stay here and wait for me to bring home the bacon for you to scarf down." Mila felt embarrassed and muttered, "That won't do." Then she said, "Okay, let's go together. Just let me go upstairs and grab a few things." Damn! She came back out, decked out in full gear, looking so serious that Tran Loc couldn't help but laugh. Daju pulled up and didn't say a word, so Tran Loc went ahead and introduced him. Mila, to help put her mind at ease, they were all in the same boat, so she didn't have to worry. Mila was surprised to see that Blackie could discharge electricity. It seemed she wasn't the only one with special abilities. Tran Loc said, "I'm Tran Loc, and I have spatial powers, like a mage. As for you, you have the ability to communicate with people, which I'm sure you already know. I'm Mila, and my abilities are like those of a priestess." While they were talking, a horde of zombies suddenly charged toward them to attack. Tran Loc shouted, "Get back and let us handle this." She replied, "I'll help give you guys a little extra strength." Then, she immediately showcased her powers by boosting their strength and providing healing. At that moment, Tran Loc felt his body become much lighter, and he was suddenly overflowing with energy. While he was marveling at the feeling, a zombie lunged past him to attack Mila from behind. That zombie really knew how to pick its target. Tran Loc shouted in a panic. "Look out!" She screamed back. "I've never fought a zombie before, but this one is perfect for some practice. After all, I'll have to fight sooner or later anyway." Looking at her, Tran Loc thought to himself, "She looks fragile on the outside, but she has a really strong will." Tran Loc decided there was no way he could let her go. He had to get her on his team. Even if she couldn't fight, it wouldn't matter. After dealing with that zombie, Tran Loc told Dai Tru to give her a club. She looked at the crowd of zombies, reminding herself to be strong and not to be afraid. Just as the zombie's hand was about to grab her, only a second later, Mila went on the offensive and delivered a painful blow right to the zombie's neck. Next came a swing right across its face. Even though it was enough to end the zombie, Mila didn't stop and kept bashing it repeatedly, which even startled Tran Loc. Once she was done, she ran to a corner to throw up. Standing beside her, Tran Loc praised her, saying, "You did great, just keep it up." He handed her a water bottle and said softly, "You must be thirsty, right? Have some water." Seeing how kind Tran Loc was, Mila was truly touched. She then thanked Tran Loc. The cat watching them was a bit annoyed, thinking, "Are we going to the supermarket to find fish, or just staying here to flirt?" By now, they were on the second floor of a shopping mall and had taken down quite a few zombies. Tran Loc told Mila to take a bag and grab whatever she could, just take it all. The cat next to them didn't forget to remind Tran Loc to find some fish. Tran Loc looked at it and thought, even if it has awakened its consciousness, there's no way it could learn this fast. But this cat was incredibly sharp with its words. Tran Loc picked up a piece of fish and thought, it would be a waste not to recruit a rare cat like this. "Hurry up and eat, it's all fresh fish." Tran Loc coaxed it, saying, "Follow me, and later I'll give you some grilled fish to eat too." The cat was absolutely thrilled. Meanwhile, as Mila was happily gathering supplies, a zombie was slowly creeping up behind her without her noticing. Seeing this, Blackie immediately barked to alert Mila. Hearing the bark, Mila turned around in confusion. What the heck? Where did this fat zombie even come from? Mila immediately backed away to get a better look, but she tripped and fell right in front of the fat zombie. The zombie even spoke, "I'm hungry, let me eat you." Terrified, Mila threw her club at its face, screaming, Get away from me!" She took the chance to run away, but while running, she slammed face first into something. It turned out to be Tran Loc. He was shocked to see such a massive zombie, realizing it was an evolved form. This zombie looked exactly like the devourer he had encountered in his past life. Tran Loc remembered that their strength and defense were terrifying, and they could even use shockwaves or self-destruct. Tran Loc stood in front of Mila to protect her, thinking, looks like it's a level 3 evolved form. Taking this thing down is going to be a bit tough. Behind him, Mila watched tremblingly as Tran Loc prepared to show off his power. Tran Loc activated his Galata skill, and an energy element resembling that of a god of destruction appeared in his palm. Blackie took advantage of the zombie's distraction and quickly attacked it from behind. Tran Loc immediately summoned a phantom sword and lunged forward to slice it up. "Die, you filthy pig!" A second later, the zombie was sliced clean in half. Tran Loc walked over to comfort Mila, saying, "It's okay now. Don't look at it. It's pretty gross." Mila thought Tran Loc was so cool. He took down such a huge zombie with just one swing. He was absolutely amazing. Tran Loc took her hand and said, "Let's go. I'm taking you to my place." A little while later, Tran Loc told her she could open her eyes. "We're home." When she opened her eyes, she saw Tran Loc looking so handsome. Why hadn't she noticed it before? Tran Loc saw Mila staring at him and had no idea what was going on. Feeling embarrassed, she turned her head away. Tran Loc thought to himself, what's with that reaction? Still, the appearance of that special zombie made it much easier to recruit her. He placed a hand on her head and thought, the hero saving the damsel in distress might be an old trope, but it always works. "Mila, would you join our team from now on? It'll be easier to handle things if anything happens. We've also found plenty of the supplies we need, so let's grab some dinner while we're at it." But Mila, worried about her sister, she wanted to stay home and wait for her to return. She added, "What if my sister comes home and I am not there? She will be so worried. How about we wait until my sister gets back before we go? Is that okay?" The cat nearby chimed in, "Do not turn him down." The kitten begged her to follow Tran Loc. "Did you not already write a letter? Besides, he has grilled fish and all sorts of delicious food, lady. Do not say no to him." Loc felt completely helpless. She turned to Tran Loc and asked, "Is your house far from here?" Tran Loc smiled and said, "Not at all." As soon as they arrived home, a table full of food appeared before them. Loc looked at the spread and could not help but gasp. "Big brother, it is my first time here, but you really did not have to waste so much food on me." The cat was already drooling at the sight. Tran Loc smiled at the silly girl and said, "It is fine. We are family now. Just eat as much as you want. Do not worry about a thing." Both the girl and the cat dug into the golden carp, nearly crying from pure joy. That fish was way better than they ever imagined. After the meal, Loc said thank you, but insisted she had to go home. She was afraid. Her sister would be worried sick about her. Tran Loc replied, "It is getting late now. Going back all alone like that is way too dangerous." Then he added, "Actually, I would not mind moving in over there. I wonder how Mongok, Dai Tru, and Tu Hoc are doing with the preparations." Hearing this, she was overjoyed. She did not expect Tran Loc and his crew to actually agree to live with her. "It is settled then. I will go get ready to move to that area. Dai Tru, Mongok, Tu Hoc, let us move to a new place." Before long, they arrived at Mi Loc's house. Suddenly, Mi Loc said, "Why do you guys not just stay at my place? I have 4 rooms, which is plenty for all of us." Tran Loc saw this as a great chance to protect them, so he immediately agreed. This way, they would all feel much safer. Once inside, Tran Loc sliced open a watermelon to share with everyone, to cool off. Seeing how kind Tran Loc was, Mi Loc could not hold back her emotions. The world outside is so dangerous, but he is always protecting me and even giving me my favorite fruit. Suddenly, she lunged forward and hugged Tran Loc tight. "Meeting you is the luckiest thing that has ever happened to me and my sister." Tran Loc smiled to himself, thinking, "I guess my charm is just too irresistible. Nothing I can do about it." He then said seriously, "We are all friends now, so helping each other is only natural. You do not have to be so formal." But a second later, he sneakily thought, "Too bad I did not meet her sooner. At least she does not know I have a bit of a mean streak." He, Tran Loc said to me, "Loc, so you have decided not to eat and just want to hug me instead?" This made her blush with embarrassment. Then he asked, "So, which rooms are we all taking today?" She pointed to a room and said, "Sister Mongok can stay here. Brother Dai Tru, could you bring another bed over to this room, please? This is my sister's art room, and this one is her bedroom. You can just stay in this one." Tran Loc heard that and felt something was not quite right. What if my Lin comes back? What should he do? But he could not dwell on it. Tran Loc took out some crystals and gave them to Mi Loc so she could practice and level up. "Take these to train your powers. If there is anything you do not understand, just ask me." Then he turned and told her to train, then get some rest. "I am going to my room for a little nap." But the moment he opened the door and stepped inside, he saw something that left him in total shock. There was the cat lying on the bed, saying, "What took you so long?" The kitten ran over and hugged Tran Loc's arm, saying, "I am sleeping with you today, and with Mi Loc tomorrow." Tran Loc picked up the cat and said, "You are one sneaky little suck-up, are you not? Well, tonight, you are going to train your powers with me." The kitten replied, "Meow, meow." Early the next morning, a zombie could be seen, burning in agony in the middle of the flames. 2 young men in front of it said in unison, my Lin, we do not dare to charge in. Could you go first?" These 2 were Tru Ong Chan and Vuong Tan Vu, classmates of my Lin. And this red-haired girl was, of course, our fire wielder, my Lin. She thought to herself, "These 2 are such dead weight. If you are too scared, get behind me already and stop trying to show off." They scrambled behind her, shouting, "The zombies are coming." My Lin, full of fighting spirit, threw a punch at the horde. With a loud boom, a sea of flames erupted, incinerating the zombies. After the fight, she sighed, realizing that her flames used up way too much energy. Even at level 2, dealing with such a massive number of zombies was exhausting. If someone as strong as her was struggling to survive, she did not know how those 2 idiots were going to make it. Seeing it was safe, they ran up and asked, "Are all the zombies dead? Which way should we go next?" My Lin pointed forward and said, "We are going that way." She was very worried. Though she had left her sister a chocolate bar, that would not be enough to last very long. Meanwhile, Tran Loc asked Mongok if she could handle some BBQ. He wanted to have a little barbecue tonight. Although she could not quite match her master, she was not bad at all. "Leave the skewers to me." Hearing that, Tran Loc said, "Let us go up to the rooftop to grill some meat." Mi Loc, he heard a noise from nearby and came running out. "It is my sister. My sister is finally back." Tran Loc had been waiting for her for a long time too. "My Lin, oh my Lin, I've been waiting for you for a long time." The 2 of them immediately hugged each other, overflowing with happiness because they were both safe. Tran Loc watched them and couldn't help but admire how close the sisters were. But then, his gaze shifted toward the 2 young guys who were My Lin's classmates. He thought to himself, where the heck did these 2 come from? Meanwhile, the 2 guys looked at Mi Loc and thought, Her sister was the school's most beautiful girl, and the younger sister isn't bad at all. If we can get them under our thumb, life is going to be pretty sweet. But then they looked at Tran Loc and wondered, who is this guy? My Lin also noticed Tran Loc and asked her sister, who is he? Me, Loc immediately replied, he's the one who saved my life. His name is Tran Loc. Thankfully, he's been taking good care of us. Seeing how healthy her sister looked, My Lin realized that Tran Loc must have treated her well. The two classmates behind them realized My Lin was too hard to approach, so they decided to switch targets to the easier one, Me Lac. Talk about fair weather friends. One of them immediately pulled out some bread and said, hey, little sister Me Lac, I've got some bread here. Hurry up and eat it. The guy next to him didn't want to be outdone and chimed in, mine tastes way better. Me Lac was a bit overwhelmed by their excessive enthusiasm. She felt a little creeped out. Tran Loc, watching from the side, gave them a look of pure disgust. Then he suggested, how about we head upstairs first? Me Lac agreed, saying, you're right, it's not safe down here. My Lin thought to herself, I was so stupid to go looking for those two troublemakers. I can't let them cause any more trouble for my sister. Meanwhile, the two guys behind them were dreaming. Our life with the school beauties is finally starting. Living together for a while is bound to lead to some romance, right? As they entered the house, My Lin asked doubtfully, is there still food left in here? Tran Loc thought, of course there is, but you'll have to join my team first. Hey. He then walked over to Mangok. Cook some more rice. After all, she is Me Lac's sister. Even if I can't recruit her, we should at least give her a meal, right? Manjok was confused. Wasn't it supposed to be a BBQ? Why the sudden order to cook rice? But looking at the newcomers behind him, Mangok understood what Tran Loc was planning. The two guys spotted the stove and couldn't take their eyes off it. They couldn't believe there was actually water to cook with. They immediately acted like thugs, running over to snatch the water bottle. Ignoring everyone else, they chugged the water down. One of them yelled, leave some for me, don't drink it all. Seeing how rude they were, Mangok snapped. Couldn't you guys at least use a cup? One of them shot back. Do you have any idea how hard it was for us out on the streets? What's wrong with drinking a little water? Tran Loc saw this and knew right away that these two punks couldn't stay. Meanwhile, the guys were still chatting away happily. They were excited to live with the school beauties, but it was a shame there was another guy named Truong there. Tan Vu pointed and said, hey, look over there. They saw Tu Hak lying there with his legs up. To their surprise, it was a dog that hadn't been infected. A dark thought crossed their minds. Looks like we're having a feast today. They ran over to Tran Loc and said, the world is in chaos and resources are scarce, so why are you keeping a dog? Tu Hak heard them and already wanted to make mincemeat out of these two arrogant jerks. The dog looked quite fierce. What if it hurts My Lin or Me Lac? Why don't we just kill it and have a nice meal? Tran Loc walked over and spoke up. I have plenty of food for him, but you two dogs better get lost right now. They talked back, saying, hey kid, watch your mouth. Have you ever even faced a zombie before? Tran Loc thought. What are they even trying to do? The two guys whispered to each other. He definitely hasn't. Turns out he's just a fool. Haha, My Lin, we went through so much hardship and danger just to come here with you. Isn't it a waste for this guy to keep a dog? Tanvu added. Exactly. We need to turn it into food, or we'll starve to death. My Lin was furious. Do you have any idea how much you guys exhausted me on the way here? And you think I don't know about your twisted intentions? From now on, whatever you find, you eat. If you don't work, you don't eat. Get the hell out of here. They had the nerve to argue back. How dare you get angry at us? You're heartless. We risked our lives to follow you here, and now you're just going to throw us away? My Lin shouted angrily. All you did was cause trouble on the road. I had to protect you the whole time. Now get out. Their true faces were fully revealed as they said, who knew such a beautiful woman could be so cold-blooded? That's just who I am. Now beat it, you losers. Fine, we'll leave, but you just wait and see. Tran Loc patted Tu Hak's head and said, make sure that trash dies far away from here. I don't want to deal with the smell of their corpses. My Lin saw Tu Hak chasing after them and got worried. Why is he running out there to offer himself up to them? The two guys ran outside, still cursing. We're definitely not letting those sisters off the hook. Tu Hak was beyond annoyed. Let me show you guys the way to the afterlife. The two pieces of trash heard a bark and turned around. Haha, I can't believe the dog meat came right to us. Let's butcher it. But they didn't stand a chance. Tu Hak released a burst of electricity, catching them completely off guard. The dog casually strolled back. While inside, Me Lac told her sister to eat slowly because there was plenty of rice left. There is still plenty left. My Lin turned to Tran Loc and said, I ate quite a bit of everyone's food, but don't worry, I will go out and find more for you guys. Tran Loc replied, Are you finished? Then we will start eating. My Lin asked naively, I am so sorry, did I eat everything and leave you guys with nothing? But she did not expect that a second later, she would see Tran Loc sitting there listing all the grilled dishes he wanted to eat, which left My Lin in total shock. After he finished listing everything he wanted, Manhwa said, I can make these right now, no problem, but it will take at least over 1 hour. Hearing that, Tran Loc immediately called me, Lac over, let us go, you and I need to have a private talk. My Lin looked at her younger sister, feeling confused. What on earth are they doing? Why are they going into a room together? Is this Tran Loc guy planning something with my sister? Tran Loc pinned her against the wall and said, Me Lac, as long as you follow me, you never have to worry about food or water, right? Me Lac answered, Yes. Tran Loc leaned in closer and said, So, following me makes you feel safe, and you are not even a little bit scared, right? Being cornered by Tran Loc, she started to get flustered. Tran Loc continued, Actually, it is because you are both obedient and capable, Me Lac. But what about your sister? Will she listen to me? She thought to herself. Knowing my sister's personality, she probably won't listen to a stranger like him. Tran Loc asked, Between me and your sister, who is better at leading everyone to survive? She replied, Of course it is you, Tran Loc. In that case, your sister must. Before he could finish, the younger sister asked, My sister must do what? Tran Loc thought, If I say I need to discipline her, that might not sound great. Tran Loc cleared his throat and said, She has to listen to me and treat me as the captain. Otherwise, this road to survival is going to be very difficult. Until your sister learns to listen to me, I will not be sharing any supplies with her. I will only give her enough food to get by. Me Lac understood what he meant. Tran Loc patted her shoulder and smiled. Once she obeys, she gets supplies. We are only doing this for her own good. This is all for your sister. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, countless delicious ingredients were being prepped for cooking. My Lin saw this and asked, Why are you cooking so much? We cannot eat all of this. Just a few dishes are fine. Manhwa simply said, I cook as much as Tran Loc tells me to. It is all up to him. Hearing that, My Lin had to go talk to Tran Loc. She felt that in the apocalypse, they could not afford to waste food like this. Tran Loc, tell her she does not need to cook so much food. If we cook it all today, what will we eat tomorrow? You came back today and Me Lac is so happy, so of course we have to celebrate for her. But this is just too wasteful. Tran Loc just waved his hand and said, It is my stuff. I will do whatever I want with it. Hearing that, she felt guilty. I did just eat all their rice earlier. But with this much food, it is bound to go to waste. But man, it smells amazing. 1 hour later, dinner was served. Looking at the feast, she was confused. Why are there only 4 bottles of water for 5 people? Are we short? My Lin thought she would just skip the water. She could just eat the food and drink the soup. After Manhwa poured the soup, she said, Time to eat. Tran Loc saw My Lin sitting at the table and said, What are you doing sitting here? My Lin replied, confused, It does not matter where I sit. Beside her, Me Lac could only apologize silently to her sister. Tran Loc's home is great. I hope you will listen to him, sis. Tran Loc said, We are about to eat. It is not really appropriate for you to sit here. Of course, if you want to watch us eat, you can stay right there. My Lin said angrily, What? There is no portion for me? Didn't you say this was to celebrate me and Me Lac reuniting? Tran Loc laughed and said, That is true. But I never said you were eating with us. Look, everyone here, except you belongs to me. Only my people get to eat the food I risked my life to bring back. Tran Loc turned and asked, Me Lac, are you one of mine? Me Lac immediately replied, Yes, sis, I already belong to Tran Loc. What about you, Dai Tru and Manhwa? Both of them said in unison, I am one of Tran Loc's people too. If he had not saved us, we would have met our ancestors a long time ago. Even the dog and cat joined in with barks and meows, showing they were Tran Loc's pets. Tran Loc laughed and said, Hear that? Everyone at this table follows me, so I am happy to share everything with them. Tran Loc said, Who are you? You are not one of mine, so you have no right to eat. Unless you are willing to listen to me and call me Brother Tran Loc, then you can eat. My Lin said furiously, You are trying to humiliate me over a single meal? She slammed her hand on the table and shouted, Don't go too far with your bullying. My Lin turned away and said, Let me tell you something. I won't starve to death just by missing one meal. You think one meal is a big deal? You are clearly playing games. On the other side, Mi Loc was eating and constantly praising the food. Sister Ngok, this royal chicken leg is so delicious. Mi Loc, have some more spicy grilled shrimp. Thank you, Brother Tran Loc. My Lin heard this and got even angrier. This is your favorite ocean fish. Eat up. Despite her anger, My Lin could only retreat to her room. She had no choice but to try and sleep. But as soon as she opened the door, she was in for a massive shock. What the hell is going on here? All she saw was a pair of underwear tossed carelessly on the bed. My Lin, what do you think you're doing? How dare you let that filthy man into my room? Mi Lap walked over and said, Sis, I forgot to tell you, Tran Loc has been staying here for the last few days. But don't you worry, he is actually a really good person. My Lin had no choice but to suck it up, because Tran Loc had been taking care of her sister. Tran Loc even added, You can shower, just make sure you don't get any water in your mouth. I get it, go back to your dinner. She took off her clothes to shower, wondering to herself why she felt like a third wheel in her own home. Did she really sell her own sister out just for some food? As she showered, she thought, It is just a small fridge. How much could it possibly hold anyway? Tran Loc, let us see who gets the last laugh. Right after her shower, she heard their voices coming from outside. Let us have some grapes for dessert today. Grapes were My Lin's absolute favorite fruit. She thought longingly, There are so many fruits, why is he eating the one I love most? No, I cannot give in. It has been so many days since the apocalypse started. Those grapes must be frozen and tasteless by now. She opened the door and called her sister into the room to talk. Tran Loc looked at her and was impressed. She truly lived up to her title as the school beauty, a gorgeous face and a stunning figure. Anyone would be moved by a sight like that. Tran Loc picked up a bunch of grapes and said, Little sister Mi Lap, come back and eat. I saved a bunch for you. My Lin turned around and glared at Tran Loc. He was definitely doing this just to mess with her. As soon as they entered the room, My Lin pinned Mi Lap onto the bed and said, You have got some nerve, letting a stranger into our home to gang up on your own sister. She started tickling Mi Lap and demanded, Come on, tell me. What are you really up to? Mi Lap laughed and said, We have already made a secret pact to be teammates. I have already decided that Tran Loc will be our leader to guide us through this apocalypse. He was just worried you would not listen to him, so that is why he is acting like this toward you. He talked to me about it beforehand, and it made sense. My Lin snapped. Has he brainwashed you or something? My Lin continued. If he actually shows some real skill, of course I will follow him. But using these cheap tricks, does he really think he can win me over with just one meal? So what is your plan? Just going out to fight zombies all the time is not a long-term solution. My Lin replied, If he wants me to obey, tell him to show me what he is really made of. I am going to challenge him to a fight and see who comes out on top. With that, she got dressed and headed out. Where are you going? I am going to find my own food. I do not need his charity. Mi Lap said worriedly, It is already dark. It is dangerous. Tran Loc, my sister is going out to find food. Quick, stop her. Tran Loc chuckled and said, Sorry, Mi Lap. But I do not have the right to tell her where she can or cannot go. But if you are that worried, Tran Loc pointed to a kitten and added, Tell her to take the cat with her. It can sense danger and warn her if anything happens. The kitten's face showed it could not care less. After that, he also signaled Tuhak to follow her from a distance and protect her in secret. Tuhak was annoyed too. It is so hot, and now I have to babysit her? Seeing this, Mi Lap also wanted to follow her sister to help out. Tran Loc agreed. Sure, go ahead. Just stay safe and make sure to bring an electric baton. Tran Loc thought to himself, My Lin, oh my Lin, I did not actually need to go this far with you, but it turned out, in his past life, My Lin had beaten him up multiple times for stealing food. She even gave him a hard kick to the butt once, making it impossible for Tran Loc not to seek a little revenge now. My Lin, this little payback for what happened in the past life isn't too much, right? But honestly, you have got real talent. I need to win you over quickly. 10 minutes later, My Lin managed to find a cup of instant noodles. Hey, at least I have something to eat tonight. It might not be as good as some people's food, but it is not bad. Tran Loc saw her and smirked. If someone did not know better, they would think she was eating a bowl of gourmet beef noodles. But was there actually beef in there? Tran Loc walked into the kitchen and said, Sister Ngok, I am craving beef noodles again. Let us whip some up. Tran Loc glanced at My Lin and thought, Today, I am going to show you what real beef noodles actually taste like. My Lin, do not look at me like I am your mortal enemy. Come over here. Let us talk for a bit. Fine. I want to see what kind of smooth talk you have got planned. I will admit, what I did at lunch was not right. I feel like I should apologize to you first. My Lin looked at him suspiciously. You are not pulling another stunt, are you? Just say what you have to say, and do not lie to me. The apology is real. Lunch was my fault, but since you do not recognize me as the leader, I cannot share the supplies with you. To be a leader, you need both strength and strategy. I am going to prove to you in 1,000 different ways that I am the one you should be following. First, let us talk about strength. 3 days from now, let us have a duel. If I lose, I will follow your orders from now on. My Lin was thrilled to hear that. Are you serious? Tran Loc smiled and said, Of course I am. Fine. But why wait 3 days? Why not just throw down right now? Tran Loc replied, My control over my powers isn't great today. I am afraid I might accidentally hurt you. In reality, Tran Loc wanted to wait 3 days so he could reach level 4. His power control would be much more stable by then. Besides, forget about fighting me. You could not even handle Tuhac right now. Stop talking trash. You think I cannot even beat a dog? Tran Loc could only shrug and say, Fine, fine. If you think you can take him, go for it. Is that waiter done staring? Why do I feel like he's looking down on me? While they were talking, Little Black suddenly became aggressive. Then, a voice came from outside the door. My Lin, me Lap. Are you guys in there? My Lin, I saw you come back. Please, give me a little food, okay? I haven't had anything to eat for 2 days. My Lin went to the door and replied, If you haven't eaten for 2 days, that means you ate something 2 days ago, right? Hearing her answer like that, Tran Loc was impressed. Wow, that's so blunt and natural. My Lin shouted from inside, We don't have any food either, now go away. Then she turned to me Lap. You have to remember, no matter how much we give her, she'll finish it all in 1 day. Then she'll just come back here and beg for more. Life is hard for us too, we have to keep enough to survive. Tran Loc stood up and said, Your survival instincts are quite sharp. Save the small talk, my Lin. In 3 days, I'll see just how strong you really are to be this confident. Just then, the kitten suddenly walked over to Tran Loc's feet and said, It seems like that girl just now had some bad intentions. Tran Loc picked up the kitten and said, I know. Tran Loc continued, No matter what their intentions are, if they dare to come here, there's no way back for them. Outside, an old lady walked away, thinking to herself, I didn't expect a young brat to be so heartless. This is driving me crazy. She walked over to a group of men. They asked her, Can you confirm that my Lin is back? She said confidently, I just spoke to her. Me Lap is home too. I saw her go into the house with 2 strange men. The guys said happily, Luckily those 2 sisters are still alive, haha. With bodies that delicious, it's worth dying just to have them once. What a bunch of creeps. They immediately grabbed their weapons to attack my Lin's house, but they had no idea what was about to happen to them. On the other side, Dai Tru spotted a suspicious group. He immediately notified Tran Loc, saying, A group of people with weapons is heading this way. Tran Loc smiled and said, Go deal with them. Just don't let them die right under the house, or else we'll have to clean up the bodies. Me Lap immediately used her ability to boost Dai Tru's strength. Wait for me a bit, I'll be right back. Seeing that, Little Black also ran after him. While Dai Tru went to handle those idiots, my Lin stood nearby and watched. She looked at Tran Loc and thought he was actually quite handsome. She also wanted to see if a man and a dog were really as powerful as he claimed they were. The 2 of them stood side by side, watching the scene downstairs, hearing nothing but barking. Come on, brothers, we're about to have dog meat to eat soon, haha. Relying on their numbers, they quickly surrounded Dai Tru. Little Black walked up and barked, Get ready to die. Dai Tru took the chance while they weren't paying attention and immediately launched an attack. The 2 guys in the back saw how powerful Dai Tru was and got scared. This guy is too strong, don't panic. If we all charge at once, we can take him down. But Dai Tru was tough and showed off his skills. No matter how hard they hit him with their sticks, it was all useless. Damn it, is this guy made of iron? Does he not feel pain? A superpower. It must be a superpower. Didn't you guys awaken yours too? Meanwhile, Little Black was behind them, getting ready to release a 100,000-volt current. One of the thugs saw it was just a dog and looked down on it. Just a dog trying to scare me? Take this. But before he could brag any more, he was completely stunned. Facing Dai Tru and Little Black's powerful electricity, they stood no chance. Over here, Tran Loc was also a bit surprised. I didn't expect Little Black to know how to distract them so Dai Tru could attack. Is he self-taught or something? Tran Loc said to me, Lap. Sweetie, go get the crystals from those 6 guys for me. She was shocked and said in fear, Me? Holy crap. Making a pretty girl like me do that kind of work? You guys are unbelievable. Tran Loc laughed and added, Even though your support skills are great, you should do this yourself to get used to it. It's better than being affected by it later on. During the fight, my Lin, who was nearby, also said, You'll have to do this sooner or later anyway. Now go and get it over with. Just to get used to it? In my Lin's head, she secretly thought, I guess getting back at you for lunch like this isn't too much, right? At that moment, Tran Loc handed her a dagger. I'll go with you, so I can teach you as we go. Tran Loc went downstairs and told Dai Tru, No need to do anything, just let Me Lap handle it. Me Lap was so terrified, she started whimpering. She regretted teaming up with Tran Loc against her sister during lunch. Now, her sister and Tran Loc were ganging up to make things hard for her. Me Lap looked at Little Black, begging for help. But Little Black just turned his head away, as if to say, Nope. This isn't a dog's job. Regardless, the knife still poked into the heads of those bad guys. My Lin had just finished the job and immediately started gagging because she had used a bit too much force. She then collected the crystals and handed them to Tran Loc. Tran Loc laughed and said, Just let it out, you'll get used to it soon. Later, we'll go back and have a bowl of beef noodles made by Sister Noc to build up your strength. Soon after, a delicious bowl of noodles full of meat and veggies appeared. Seeing it, my Lin thought to herself, Are you guys eating beef noodles or just eating beef with a side of noodles? Is it even okay to eat like this? Tran Loc took the biggest bowl and gave it to Me Lap. Eat up to recover after that vomiting session earlier. Me Lap whimpered and said, Thank you, Tran Loc, but right now I can't even swallow anything. My Lin, on the other hand, she was fuming because she couldn't stand Tran Loc's constant trash talking. Sitting on the side, she cursed under her breath. Does his cooking have to smell that freaking good? I want some too, but I can't have any. This is so frustrating. There is no way I am eating lunch with those guys. Over here, my Lin was chewing on something, but the aroma was making her mouth water like crazy. Let's see how long your food lasts. You think I don't know how small that fridge is? By dinner time, she was suspicious. How on earth did they still have so much food? Isn't our fridge tiny? It should have been empty after 2 meals. So, she decided to sneak over to the fridge and check it out for herself. As soon as she opened it, her jaw dropped. It was packed to the brim with food and drinks, making her question her entire life. She ran over to demand an explanation. Tran Loc, where the heck are you getting all this food from? How did I miss this? You can't just find fresh food like this out there anymore. That is when his sister chimed in. Sis, Tran Loc is a spatial ability user. He has got enough food stored away to last for years at the very least. Hearing this, my Lin felt it was totally unfair. She snapped, Why didn't you tell me sooner? Mina scratched her head and said, Sorry, big sis. I totally forgot, teehee. This actually made my Lin happy, and she turned to Tran Loc. Remember our deal? In 2 days, we duel. If you lose, you have to do everything I say. Don't worry, if I lose, I will do whatever you want. But actually, we might be able to fight tomorrow. My Lin thought to herself, Once he loses, I will make him hand-feed me every meal. I won't have to worry about food ever again. Hey hey. Meanwhile, Tran Loc was training and deep in thought. Once he hits level 4, he will be able to walk through the void. Not only will his defenses skyrocket, but his powers will undergo a massive evolution. Level 1 survival crystals were no longer enough for Tran Loc now that he was at a higher level. So, he prepared to use the Rat King crystal. Once he absorbed the Rat King crystal, a massive wave of energy surged into Tran Loc's brain. A split second later, he felt it. A splitting headache hit him, followed by intense body aches. He could not even stay seated anymore. It looked like he had finally broken through to level 4. A moment later, his body began to recover. Looking at the crystal, he sighed in relief. Finally, I have reached level 4. Tran Loc looked at his pet and chuckled. Hey little guy, this crystal still has more than half its energy left. Stay here and be a good boy while I go test out my new strength. Nearby, Shadow looked at his master. Something felt different. The dog's jaw dropped, and he started barking like crazy. Seeing the energy swirling around Tran Loc, the man turned and said, Don't be scared. It is just me. Shadow was so terrified his soul nearly left his body. He thought, I am here guarding the house for you, and you come back just to scare me? My Lin was woken up by Shadow's barking. She stomped out and yelled, Did you wake the dog up on purpose, just to keep me from sleeping? Shadow whined. But I was genuinely terrified. Tran Loc just looked at her. You are overestimating your importance. Go eat. After that, we are having our duel. She was confused. I thought you said we were waiting until tomorrow? Why are you calling me out to fight in the middle of the night? Let's get the rules straight first. If I win, you have to obey me, right? Of course. You seem pretty confident. Want to make it more interesting? Within 20 meters, I will make you surrender in just 3 seconds. If I cannot do it, I lose. What do you say? My Lin was insulted. Tran Loc, I know you are strong, but saying you can beat me in 3 seconds is just disrespectful. I am not looking down on you. I am just that good, my Lin thought to herself. As soon as we start, I will just back away to stall for time. There is no way I am letting him kick my butt that easily. While lost in thought, Tran Loc patted Mi Lin on the shoulder and said, Let's go grab breakfast first. Mi Loc, come join us too. Then he added, I was wrong about what happened 2 days ago, but from now on, we're brothers in arms. We should try to get along, shouldn't we? Manhwa brought out the food and said, Don't be shy. If this isn't enough, there are plenty of other dishes ready. Mi Lin thought to herself, it wouldn't really be right to refuse at a time like this, would it? A moment later, she was stuffing her face. This smells amazing. It would be such a waste of their hard work to say no. Tran Loc chuckled to himself nearby, thinking, Today, Mi Lin is officially one of my people. A while later, he said, All right, since everyone's full, let's head to the living room for a little chat. We should probably discuss our next move, right? By now, Tran Loc and the others were gathered in the living room, ready to plan. In this apocalypse, not only are humans evolving, but the zombies are getting stronger too. We have to stay united if we want to survive. But supplies are getting harder and harder to find. If we keep going out individually to scavenge before the zombies get there, the danger will be endless. That's why we need to build a large, powerful team for the long run. Even though our current group is strong, if we run into another group of 100 people, even if we win, we'll take casualties, and that's something I simply won't accept. I'm not the type to bow down to anyone, so I don't want to be living under someone else's thumb. Besides, Mi Lin and Mi Loc are so beautiful. If some scumbags try to force you into their beds, what are you two going to do? Mi Lin immediately snapped back. Any guy who dares. I'll beat the living daylights out of him. Tran Loc replied, Exactly. That's why we won't join any other team, and no one will ever get the chance to bully us. Tran Loc said seriously, We need to form our own crew, the bigger the better. Of course, we'll be selective. We're not just picking up any piece of trash, only those who are a good fit. You're absolutely right. We have to build our own team. Dai Tru chimed in, I'll do everything in my power to support you, boss. Is there some kind of misunderstanding? Or do you want to play a little private game with me? Mi Lin was taken aback when she heard that. How much more does this guy want to humiliate me? He doesn't have to be this realistic while faking it. Mi Lin immediately snapped. Why did Tran Loc want to give her a kick as a bonus prize? Or maybe he should change the punishment? As long as it's not too over the line, it's fine. Tran Loc shook his head and said, Don't ask questions. A loss is a loss. Just tell me, are you going to do it or not? Mi Lin was fuming inside but couldn't do anything about it. Fine, I'm a woman of my word. Then, she turned around and bent over. Hurry up and get it over with. Tran Loc was shaking with excitement. He couldn't believe he was actually doing this to the legendary goddess of flame, Mi Lin. This beautiful moment was almost too much for him to handle. After she got into position for Tran Loc to kick her, she noticed Tran Loc taking off his shoes and thought, taking his shoes off will make the kick lighter. He probably wouldn't have the heart to actually hit me that hard, right? If you use too much force, I'll cry right here, I swear. She turned back and asked, Why are you taking your shoes off? I'm counting to 10. If you don't kick by then, I'm standing up. Tran Loc took off his shoes and felt a bit confused seeing her count, but he didn't care. This grudge had to be settled. Mi Lin had already reached 3. Tran Loc was still thinking, didn't I call her over exactly for this? Just as time was about to run out, he immediately made his move. He swung his hand and gave Mi Lin's butt a loud smack. Mi Lin's face instantly turned as red as a tomato. She spun around and yelled, Tran Loc, why did you slap my butt? Weren't you supposed to use your foot to kick me? Tran Loc scratched his head and said, I forgot. Hey, how about I give you a real kick now to make up for it? She was absolutely livid when she heard that. I'll kill you. You jerk. She grabbed onto Tran Loc's arm, threatening him. If you dare tell anyone about this, I'll end you. Mercy, my lady. This humble servant wouldn't dare. Let me head out for a bit. Before lunch, I'll have Mong Gok cook some of your favorites to celebrate you officially joining the team. You better not say a word, or you're dead. But then, she suddenly felt a bit suspicious. How did Tran Loc know what she liked to eat? Could Mi Loc have told him? A while later, the table was covered with a massive spread of delicious food. She realized that if it wasn't for Tran Loc, she might never have enjoyed a meal like this again for the rest of her life. She clinked glasses with Tran Loc and thanked him for helping her and Mi Loc. Tran Loc replied, "Don't mention it. We're a team now." Then Tran Loc got serious and said, "There's one more thing. If we stay here, we're sitting ducks for other groups to attack. Tomorrow, come with me to the old villa to check it out." They then began clearing out the surrounding zombies to prepare for the move back to the old villa. It was also the perfect opportunity for Mi Lin and Mi Loc to train and increase their strength. While he was lost in thought, he suddenly heard voices nearby. Brother Phuong. A young man was seen fighting off a swarm of zombies to save the people behind him. They cried out, "Please, stop fighting them. You need to run." Watching this, Tran Loc felt a wave of emotion. In his past life, Dai Tru had saved him in the exact same way. But this was a venomous zombie. If he didn't leave those three behind, he was done for. When the man saw Tran Loc approaching, he immediately called out for help. Tran Loc could see that this man had a good heart. He decided right then and there to save him. Recruiting some minions wouldn't be a bad idea at all. Right on cue, Little Black lunged forward at Chen Luo's command. A zombie was instantly fried by Little Black's electricity. The guys standing nearby were absolutely floored by what they were seeing. How the hell is that dog so powerful? Once the zombies were cleared out, they walked over to thank Chen Luo. Chen Luo asked if any of them had awakened their powers yet. The guy with the bandage on his forehead said he had. His name was Phuong Vu, and his ability was super strength and physical enhancement. This young guy here was Duong Huyen, who had ice powers. And this one was Lai Fai, who also controlled electricity. But honestly, Lai Fai couldn't even hold a candle to Little Black. Finally, there was Tu Lan, who had awakened earth powers. He could control sand and soil. The guy with the bandage explained that the four of them were all security guards at the same company. They had been brothers in arms for years. They were out looking for supplies today when the zombies ambushed them. Hearing that, Chen Luo introduced himself. "I am Chen Luo. There is strength in numbers, so why don't we team up? What do you think?" Phuong Vu didn't hesitate for a second. "Since you put it that way, boss, we are more than happy to follow you. We really want to repay you for saving our lives." After officially welcoming them to the team, Chen Luo had them hop into the back of the truck. Their old hideout didn't have much worth taking anyway. The streets were mostly empty too, since everything valuable was in the malls. Once they reached Chen Luo's old villa, he told Phuong Vu to start getting things settled. Mai Lin watched them from behind and whispered that these guys seemed capable and, more importantly, they didn't abandon one another. Chen Luo agreed, but he still gave her a warning. It is the apocalypse after all, so we always have to stay on our toes. Dai Tru chimed in, saying he understood completely. Chen Luo then pulled out some bags of rice and started assigning rooms. Mai Lin and Mi Loc, you two take a room on the 3rd floor. Dai Tru and Sister Ngok, you will be on the 2nd floor. After everyone spent some time cleaning up, Chen Luo told Dai Tru to come with him to check on the new guys. At that moment, they were all raving about how badass Little Black was. They couldn't believe a dog could be that strong. The four of us probably couldn't even take him down together. Chen Luo walked up and cleared his throat, asking if any of them knew how to cook. He then handed them a bag of rice. Phuong Vu hesitated, saying they hadn't even begun to repay him for saving their lives. "How can we take this from you? You should keep it. We will go out and find our own food later." Chen Luo just smiled and told them not to be so formal. "You are my people now, so this is nothing." Chen Luo thought to himself that he would save the meat for later. Dai Tru, give them a radio. Mai Lin walked up just then and asked why he was bringing her along. What if something happens while Mi Loc is left alone with strangers? Chen Luo just playfully pushed Mai Lin's head down. He shushed her, sensing someone approaching. Sure enough, a car pulled up right at that moment. A stunning girl with white hair stepped out of the vehicle. One look was all it took for Chen Luo to recognize Mo Thien Ka. He realized he had completely forgotten about her. My Lin, standing beside him, had no idea what was going on. Chen Luo explained that she was a famous fashion designer and the CEO of a clothing company, but in his head, he remembered her as being a total psycho. After the apocalypse, she started a base that only accepted women. That sounded fine on paper, but she strictly forbid any of her followers from ever falling in love. Anyone caught would be severely punished. But humans have desires, and ironically, she was the biggest hopeless romantic of them all. My Lin heard that in another life, Mo Thienka had died trying to save Mi Lac. My Lin eventually took over and finally allowed men to join. Chen Luo figured she was here with her crew to scavenge for supplies. My Lin and Mo Thiensa were meeting much earlier than expected. Chen Luo looked at Mi Lac and smiled slightly. The way she was clinging to My Lin was actually a good thing. Plus, she was technically his subordinate now. My Lin looked at him suspiciously, asking why he was staring at her. Chen Luo said it was nothing, but before he could finish, a sharp voice rang out, asking who was hiding over there. Chen Luo saw the girl next to her and remembered she was Thu Van. She was an incredibly powerful ice ability user. It was a shame she had died so young in his past life. Mo Thienka then walked over to greet them. "Hello, I am Mo Thienka. May I ask what your name is, sister?" "I am My Lin. What are you all doing here?" Mo Thiensha explained that they had formed a group of sisters to protect each other in this dying world. "You should join our team, shouldn't you?" Chen Luo thought to himself. "Is she really trying to poach my people right in front of me?" My Lin declined, saying she already had a team. Mo Thiensha then pointed at Chen Luo and asked a question. "Is he your boyfriend?" By now it was late at night, and Chen Luo stood there facing Mo Thienka. "Why did you call me out here to talk? It is not like we are friends." Mu Rongzhe replies, "I want to propose a partnership." She mentions that about 3 miles to the east, there is a massive shopping mall. If they can get the supplies, it would be enough to feed them for a whole year. Personal items would last them for over 10 years. She raises her hand and adds, "But there are way too many zombies, so I cannot get the goods easily. That is why I want to cooperate. A 70-30 split, what do you think?" After all, I have more people. Chen Luo is completely speechless hearing this. That mall happens to be the exact same place where he and Mi Ling ran into a mutant zombie. He had already scavenged every last supply from there ages ago. Chen Luo shakes his head and says, "No way, count me out. There are thousands of zombies in there, I do not dare go in." Mu Rongzhe gets incredibly annoyed hearing this. She thinks to herself, being a coward is one thing, but why can he not even pretend to be a little brave? What a total scoundrel. Why on earth is Mi Ling following this guy? Chen Luo waves his hand and says, "Go by yourself then, I am not seeing you out." Actually, Mu Rongzhe planned to lead Chen Luo there. She wanted to put him in some danger to expose his true ugly colors and then get rid of him, but the fish did not bite the hook. Mu Rongzhe then thinks of another man. She wants to ask him for help with this task. Chen Luo looks at her and thinks, "That rotten woman. Is she not just looking for a chance to take me out so she can have Mi Ling all to herself? In my past life, I did not realize she was this wicked." Chen Luo turns around and leaves. He thinks he definitely has to give her a taste of her own medicine. He cannot just let her run wild on his turf. Chen Luo looks at Xiao He, and a new idea pops into his head. Who would ever suspect a dog? Over on the other side, Mu Rongzhe has found her way to a specific room. "Brother Feng, are you in there?" "Oh, if it is not Boss Mu, in front of you, how could I dare call myself Brother Feng? Just call me Feng or Little Feng. This rotten delivery guy. If it were not for Mi Ling, I would never approach someone like this. But his wind-type superpower is very powerful. I need a favor from you." After explaining everything, she says she wants to use his ability to lure the zombie horde. She wants to lead them to Chen Luo's place, adding, "I want to punish a scumbag, you understand?" He claps his hands and says, "I get your point, Boss Mu. Being able to help you is an honor. Plus, I hate scumbags more than anything." Suddenly, he smiles and says, "Only after I help you." Before he can finish, Mu Rongzhe says, "You want a better place to stay, right? Once this is done, I will let you join the team." He is thrilled with the offer. "Thank you, Boss Mu. I will do my absolute best." Honestly, he wanted to be a player too, but his lack of skill meant he never had the chance. "My dear Mi Ling, once I finish this job, we will spend all day together." Hey. He grabs his sword, ready for action. It seems his buddy Daju is also working as a guard at that villa. He could not find him last time, but he has to make sure he finds him now. He goes out, surfing the wind to lure the zombie horde behind him toward Chen Luo's house. As he approaches the villa, he says, "Sorry, brother." But before he can brag anymore, he sees Dazhu and Chen Luo. Seeing Dazhu, he asks in confusion, "What are you doing here?" Xiao He is about to unleash some electricity, but Chen Luo stops the dog. He looks at the zombies approaching from behind and gets worried. Damn it, why did Mu Rongge not mention Dazhu was here? I cannot hurt my friend just to join her team. He surfs the wind while shouting loudly, "Dazhu, wait there for a moment. I will use my wind to lure the zombies somewhere else." Chen Luo is a bit surprised to see a wind-type user. In his past life, Chen Luo and this guy were actually considered friends. He always helped Chen Luo lure zombies away so he could gather supplies. It is just a pity that later on, he was gnawed on by some zombies and died. And it was a truly gruesome death. He walks over and waves to apologize to Dazhu. "I am so sorry. I did not know you were here. Leading so many zombies must have terrified you." Dazhu says, "It is okay, Brother Feng. I knew you would not lead a horde here just to hurt me." Chen Luo, standing nearby, asks, "Did Mu Rongje tell you to lead the zombies here?" Brother Feng is confused and asks, "How did you know that? Wait, could you be the scumbag Mu Rongge was talking about?" Chen Luo asks him back, "Does anyone else know about this?" Brother Feng says, "At that time, it was just the two of them. She said she wanted to punish a scumbag. She also mentioned she would strike at a critical moment. Oh, so that is how it is." Before he can finish, a strange sound rings out. Could that be a level 5 evolved mutant zombie? Meanwhile, Mu Rongje's car is tearing down the road. She gives orders inside the car. "Keep accelerating, do not stop." She thinks, this zombie horde Jiang Feng lured over is not bad at all. "Mi Ling, you have to hang in there. Wait for me, do not let those zombies eat you." The car smashes through the zombies one by one. But out of nowhere, a high-level zombie leaps out and dodges. Then, it conjures a fireball and hurls it straight at the car. The people in the car are absolutely terrified seeing the flames. "Careful, that is a high-level zombie." Mu Rong rushes out and shouts, "Everyone get out of the car, hide behind it now." She is in total shock seeing the evolved zombie. Why is there such a freaky zombie here? Girls, do not panic. Immediately after, Mu Rongge uses her superpower to attack. In an instant, several blades appear in midair. The intensity of this scene is truly terrifying. It looks like a space-type ability just like Chen, right guys? But this zombie isn't easy to handle. It easily caught the knife before it could do any damage. Then, it knew exactly how to take the chance to launch a surprise attack. Mu Tiange was terrified when she saw that. How could it do that? Is it really rushing straight at me to attack? But Mu Tiange is truly devious. She used her own teammate as a meat shield in front of her. What a piece of work. Chen, watching from the side, couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy crap, you reap what you sow. But that mutant zombie crystal, I absolutely have to get my hands on it." The teammates behind her looked at Mu Tiange with suspicion. Am I seeing things? Is this really the boss who supposedly saved us from the post-apocalyptic nightmare? Mu Tiange didn't have time to think. Seeing Chen approaching, she immediately plotted to frame him. Chen ignored her and just stood there as she rushed over. "Boss lady, is your strategy for the big moments just to use your sisters as shields? How lovely." Then, Chen gives Mu Tiang a hard slap. "That is for being an idiot. I never expected you to be this kind of person." The slap snapped Mu Tiange back to her senses. How can he have such terrifying strength? The zombie quickly lunged forward to deal with her. It slammed its fist into her chest, and she was finished right then and there. Chen just stood there with his arms crossed, watching. Shu Yun used her power and rushed forward, shouting, "Sisters, run now. I will risk my life against it." Watching her, Chen felt deep respect for her selfless spirit. "I do not care about your power, but I truly admire your spirit, girl." Chen immediately summoned the Void Sword. Chen appeared in front of the zombie, thinking that such courage is very precious, and he definitely wouldn't let her die. Seeing a stranger appear, the zombie immediately used fire to attack. But Chen possesses space abilities, so he is not someone to be messed with. Before it could even react, the zombie was caught by Chen using Void Walk, appearing behind it and slashing it down. Jiang Feng and the girls were beyond shocked when they saw Chen. The zombie they struggled so hard against was killed by Chen with just one strike. Chen turned and said, "Hey you, throw that gas tank away right now, or are you waiting for it to blow up?" Shu Yun immediately hurled it into the sky. Sure enough, it exploded just as Chen had warned. She collapsed to the ground, covering her mouth and whispering. Finally, it was over. Chen successfully retrieved the mutant zombie crystal. He turned to Shu Yun and said, "Stop sitting there crying. Let me help you up. It is all over now. The danger is gone." Chen helped her up and told her to go comfort her sisters. "The dead need to be buried." "Thank you," Chen asked further. "Do you girls have any plans for the future?" His question left them confused. Their leader was now dead. She looked at Chen and thought, "You are right. Those who are still alive must keep living." A while later, while Chen was sipping tea inside, a voice called out, "Chen, are you there? It is me, Shu Yun." Hearing this, Chen smiled. "So you finally came." Chen happily went to open the door, saying, "I am here. Just a second. It was worth using those 50 tons of supplies as bait." Haha, it turns out he had given them some supplies before. As soon as Chen stepped out, he said, "As long as you follow me, you will be safe and well fed." But Shu Yun said she needed to talk to her sisters first and would find him later. Chen just gave a slight smile. Then he opened the door to welcome the new girls. "Your team has been won over by me, Mu Tianj," Shu Yun said. 20 people from our team want to join your squad." Chen replied, "No problem, but they absolutely had to follow his rules. First, you must obey orders no matter the situation. If you do not listen, I will not show any mercy. Of course, I am not talking about anything immoral. Second, never tell me you are scared or that you do not dare to do something. To me, men and women are equal in battle. Third, well, if you have a partner, try to find someone within our team. You can find someone from outside, but they have to move in and join our side." They were surprised by the rule about guys moving in, but they found it reasonable, as it could prevent people with bad intentions from spying on the team's secrets. After discussing it, the sisters all agreed. "Fine, we have no problem with that." Seeing this, Chen invited everyone in. "Thank you all for trusting me. For now, let Shu Yun lead you, and she will be the one to stay in contact with me." When they walked inside and saw the table full of food, they couldn't help but gasp. "Oh, these potatoes look so fresh and delicious. Am I seeing things? Is that really that much butter chicken sauce? This is pure happiness." The guys on this side were also excited. "I think my single days are finally coming to an end. We only have 7 men on our side, while they have 20 women." Meanwhile, Jiang Feng was still begging Chen to take him in. After recruiting the girls, Chen sat down to review their abilities. There were 6 in the muscle system: 4 fire, 2 lightning, 4 ice, 2 earth, and 1 nature user. And 1 light system user. Oh, this Wang Ling seems to be the teacher that Jiang Feng was drooling over. Awakening on the 3rd day is pretty good. I will just have to keep an eye on her later. But perhaps only Shu Yun has the potential to reach the king level. At this moment, Chen said to Fang Yu, "Tomorrow I will lead the way. You guys stay and guard the house. If only a few show up, give them a warning. If they don't listen, beat the crap out of them. If there are too many, just pretend you didn't see anything and wait for me to get back." After handing over the duties, Chen Luo finally hit the road. By now, their convoy had reached an area crawling with zombies. Looking ahead, Chen Luo estimated there were at least 300 or 400 of them, the perfect number for the team to farm some crystals. "Everyone listen up, get into formation." Jiang Feng, try to control the number of zombies hitting each squad. If more than 30 come at once, draw them away and split them up. Jiang Feng didn't hesitate and jumped into action. In no time, a massive swarm of zombies was right on his tail. "Don't worry everyone, I'll do my best." Meanwhile, the muscle power team led by Big Zhu charged into the fray. "Advance on my mark to block them." The magic team provided backup from the rear, coordinating their strikes with the physical power team. They were working together pretty well, until a zombie suddenly dodged an attack. Oh man, how did I miss that? A girl nearby saw a zombie flying toward her and shouted, "Hey, who hit that? That one was my target." Just as I was about to praise their teamwork, another zombie lunged at a girl in a white dress. "Oh my god, help me. I'm not even done with this one. How am I supposed to fight another?" Watching the girls struggle like this, Chen Luo was completely speechless. If these girls keep going like this, they're going to get themselves killed. I need to get them more field experience, and fast. 2 hours later, everyone was exhausted and collapsed on the ground. Chen Luo walked over to encourage them, saying, "You all worked hard for your first coordinated mission. Everyone, head inside and pick out some new clothes for yourselves." The mention of new outfits instantly perked the girls right up. While watching them, Chen Luo was secretly doing something suspicious. Mealing caught a glimpse and realized, wait, are those fishnet stockings? Holy crap, this guy is something else, she thought to herself. Surely he's not crazy enough to wear those, right? No, he's not that big of a pervert. But then, who are they for?